are back.
We're back. Oh, another day in paradise.
Let's do this.
It's Thursday, 30th of July. It's 12. Bang on the dot again. Welcome to the European Technology Network. We are back and we are in the cage. We've got a lot to jump into today. There's a lot going on already. We can just jump straight in. I'm going to run you through. We're going to be talking situational awareness, Leopold's fund. It's looking slightly underwater, but
I just wrote a tweet saying it's a bad day to be an FT article. The front page of the FT is doom. Seriously doom.
Yeah,
and in response, we are both wearing blue shirts to commemorate the FT. Unfortunately, they're not from Xenia. It's a sad day. Hey ho.
Sad out there.
We'll
get bring the positive energy. We've seen some positive takes as well on Leopold's fund. A lot of people are saying this is how it is. Hodl. This guy's playing the long game. We're also going to be talking about AI stocks in general, falling. COPSI is down 40% yesterday. I think it's bounced back a little bit. A lot of South Korean investors are underwater. A lot of them were highly exposed to memory stocks, chip stocks, AI stocks in general. We've also got OpenAI joining us in the studio. VB, EMEA developer lead experience is coming in to chat with us in-house.
Let's pull up the Airwalks agenda.
Yep, let's do it. Let's get the Airwalks agenda up. We can run through some of the guests we've got, but there we go. We've got VB, developer experience lead for EMEA at OpenAI, joining us today. We've got Ian Rogers calling in over there at Ledger, Chief Human Agency Officer.
Yeah, nice. Get that one out.
He's joining us for the second time on the show. Ledger have got a big announcement to make, and they're doing it here live on European Technology Network. We've got Robbie O'Connor, the brand new CRO at Victor.com. Everyone's seen that they've been crushing recently. We last spoke to VEED when we were in Monaco with A16Z. Shout out to them for bringing us out there. We had a great conversation, a great interview about their growth. When we last spoke, they were crushing. It looks like they're still crushing today. Following that at 2, we also have...
Let him cook now. Let him cook.
That one's always so long. But I love it.
I thought we shortened that.
No. I think I said I want to have it that long. Max Buchan, founder and CEO at Valarian, is joining us in-house. Also, we have a special treat on the way from the team over there at Valarian. Sabba, for the second time, he's back, co-founder and CEO at VEED. He recently tweeted out that the SaaS playbook is dying, and he wrote a few thoughts. We want to get into it with him. Following that, we've got Aidan, Corbett, co-founder and CEO at Wayflyer. They also made a pretty big announcement this morning. We're going to be digging into all of that, specifically with Wayflyer. They've basically just raised somewhere around 1.5 billion sort of free-flowing cash for the Wayflyer business, and we're going to be digging into him on his lessons on 6 mistakes on the way to 100 million revenue, how private credit is reshaping access to capital for entrepreneurs as a traditional bank, and a bunch of other stuff. But that is the lineup for today, ladies and gentlemen.
Airwalks, leave outdated business backing behind with Airwalks, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business, multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all-in-one platform. Go to airwalks.com.
You love to see it.
Indeed.
First on the docket of the day, we have got Leopold. Situational awareness is seeking new capital, says the FT. This one came as a bit of a shock, bit of a surprise to people on the timeline. For those who don't know, Leopold's situational awareness made the timeline, and a huge viral, it's viral. I think he went viral multiple times for all the work he was doing. Their fund was heavily exposed to memory stocks, AI stocks, chip stocks.
And leveraged to the gills.
Leveraged out of their mind. A little bit of background on Leopold
which is warranted,
himself.
to be fair.
It's a hedge fund, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna trade.
That is the deal.
Super high leverages. We love that. The biggest risk you can take is no risk at all. So Leopold's aware of that.
Indeed.
I think it's a good thing. A little bit of background on Leopold first. He was an early employee at FTX. He worked very closely with Sam Bankman-Fried. FTX obviously went on to crash. He was also at OpenAI, and then apparently leaked something at OpenAI, which meant that his role was made redundant. And then he also went and set up situational awareness, which is now
after writing his incredible situational awareness essay.
Yep.
Which was a very, very good read back in 2024. Launched in 2024, started with a few $100 million. Anchor investors, including Patrick and John Collison, obviously the famous Stripe brothers, Nat Friedman, Daniel Gross. It was about $25 million minimum ticket size, 2-year lockup. In 15 months, it went from $254 million, the portfolio, to $13.7 billion, with companies including Anthropic, Bloom Energy, Nebius, Core Scientific, SanDisk, obviously have all completely ripped. They're still up about 1,000% despite this kind of downturn that's happening. The FT reported the fund is seeking new money after losses tied to falling AI stocks, has approached existing investors and lenders, and has offered some investors the option to buy assets out of the portfolio. Aschenbrenner framed the volatility as an opportunity in the 24th of July investor letter and pushed for fresh capital before the 1st of August. Net return was reported as 439% as of June, but we won't know what he does with his portfolio. I think the 13F isn't due, the Q2 13F isn't due until around the 14th of August. You've got 2 weeks, but then again, that's even, that's backdated months, so it doesn't necessarily matter that much.
I remember when the recent 13F that was released, it was rumored that it was releasing soon. I think that they'd missed the date that people thought it was going to be released on.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
And they did get him next time, and they dropped it. And
they seriously got him
you had people like tweeting him like, "Hey man, can you drop it already? Like my funds are ready. I'm ready to invest." But obviously, like this is they make those trades 6 months prior to releasing the 13F?
I don't think it's as long as 6 months. I want to say. I mean, I can search it up. It's at least at least a few months.
Yeah. It's but people are aping their investments based off the 13F that's get released. It's important to be aware of the fact that.
Well, the last 13F, there was a ton of discourse around the timeline being like, "Oh my God, get into into Bloom Energy, get into Nebius or whatever it is," and everyone was, and then all the people that are a little bit better at this instead of just tweeting tweets and following the money. We're basically saying, guys, you're 45 days out. This has already kind of happened.
Yeah, I mean, like usually when you see it a day later, like it's already priced in, you've already missed the boat. But I think buying it 3 months
45 days.
45 days later is not the best strategy. But the FT report, Situational Awareness, the $20 billion hedge fund founded by former OpenAI employee Leopold Aschenbrenner, has sought to raise fresh capital from investors after suffering heavy losses during the recent rout in AI stocks.
He has lost roughly $600 million in a single day.
That's a lot of cash.
They were still up over 1,000% on most of the positions from his entry, and his puts are printing.
Yeah, they
Bloom
were
Energy
heavily
down 210 million, 14.9%. We could probably pull this up if you can get my screen. SanDisk down 180 million, 11%. Core Scientific down 54 million, 9%. Aidan 41 million, just under 9%. Nebius down 104 million. 4.5% of the portfolio. So it's not a good day to be Leopold Aschenbrenner or the people that invested in the first place.
Yep, look at that.
He's looking for fresh capital, and I'm sure he'll get it.
Oh, he'll definitely get it. He'll certainly get it. That is one man who is legible for capital. The write-up goes on to say,
you know what we should do? We should create a legible for capital list.
Who is the most legible for capital on a top 5?
Maybe in Europe. As we
top
are the European
5
Technology
European
Network.
Most legible.
Probably say
for
Mr. Nick. Then again, you have to pull in, hey, like if Nick's going to go and raise, it depends what he's obviously raising for. We have to add some parameters here. Whether we go,
I mean, he could raise.
Is he raising? No, but
a candle shop. I assume. I mean, people would probably give him money for that. I imagine.
Backed by Revolut and Index Ventures.
Incredibly legible for capital. But the article goes on to say the fund held discussions with existing investors and lenders in recent days, seeking to raise new capital. According to people that were briefed on the matter, the fund had also offered some investors the option to buy assets in the portfolio. One of the people briefed on the talks described them as ad hoc rather than a coordinated effort. The capital raising effort comes as the fund has sustained a sharp fall in value amid intense market swings in recent weeks. Several people familiar with the matter have commented on its performance. It marks a powerful reversal for Situational Awareness, which posted meteoric returns in the first half of the year, tracking a huge rally in stocks linked to the AI boom. With that, meteoric returns, we mentioned it just then, but it did capture the whole timeline alone, yes, but also you had very credible investors, very credible CEOs sort of waiting for that alpha, I guess, waiting to see. I think that's probably the first time ever that this guy's 25. This guy's 25 years old. So he's already at 25.
He's a genius.
At 25, he's
Runs a
worked at
$13 billion.
FTX, where he ran their like philanthropic fund with a team of 2. Working with Sam Bankman-Fried. He joined.
Is that an achievement?
He was like 22 working at FTX. So when I was 22, I was playing Call of Duty in my room. Like, I think it's pretty insane achievement. He joins OpenAI.
It's a role for you.
A role for me, not for Leopold. He joins OpenAI after that, working in what seems to be like some sort of like very, very specific special projects team. And then...
Dude, if you're working in special projects in any of these frontier AI, even if you're not even... I mean, most of the frontier AI will have special projects. Most less frontier or kind of worser businesses or like different businesses, maybe not worse, you're probably not going to have a frontier, kind of special projects role. That's not really going to be a thing because you're obviously focused on what is, the main mission, find product market fit. But if you are in a special projects, role, eligible for capital.
Yeah, for sure. And he is.
For sure.
In a letter sent to investors on July 24th presenting the fund's half-year results, Aschenbrenner acknowledged that the fund had not been immune to the market ructions, particularly in Asia.
Now, that's beating around the bush if you've ever seen it.
It's one way of phrasing it, not being immune. He's saying, like, we were hit pretty hard.
I'm kirked.
That's how you could... if you've had like any time you want to acknowledge that something bad has happened,
if you're like hungover, not being immune to the beers.
This could be the new way to lightly, just coerce one into understanding where you're at. We've got a delayed chuckle from our boys over there.
Man, you need a cable so you can actually hear like. Our interns, not interns, our employees are, they're watching the live stream, which is a little bit delayed, maybe 10 seconds, 12 seconds delayed. So when we say something funny and they're watching, they will laugh 10 seconds out of sync.
So if you do hear a delayed laugh, that is why.
That's why. They're not just laughing at, I don't know, an email or something that's come through.
Emails that funny? We get some funny emails here, to be fair.
Yeah, OpenAI absolute jokes right now.
The hedge fund had noticed blistering returns this year. The firm was up 439% on a net basis for the year as of the end of June. According to the letter, Aschenbrenner had pointed in the letter to the prospect of major AI developments in the second half of the year, including an expected Anthropic initial public offering as a potential catalyst for recovery. They haven't responded to comment. Multiple people have reached out, so that's not an official comment, but this is based off the investigation that the Financial Times have done. As Luke mentioned earlier, early investors include Stripe co-founders Patrick and John, former GitHub chief Nat Friedman, technology investor Daniel Gross, and then the fund had also received some backing from Jane Street as well. It seems to be they shout out Nebius as well here. Other smaller stocks that situational awareness has backed have fallen further, such as NeoCloud Group's Nebius and Sharon AI. Power startup.
Shout out to Nebius. We love those guys.
Shout out to Nebius. We do love those guys. Power startup, Bloom Energy, and then an array of memory companies, including SanDisk, which we all know was taking all the headlines over the last year in terms of its. That would be a definite meteoric rise. But there were a few comments from the timeline around how are they perceiving this? What does this mean? Is this, are they in a bad state right now? And we can probably bring them up on the big screen. But this was the first
one from Meltem
take. Yeah, this is Meltem
Demiroz.
Meltem Demiroz. The level of Schadenfreude around situational awareness / Leopold is sad. Let the man cook. He's having a generational run, and even if he loses 80% of his buck, he'll end the year with better numbers than most HF managers will ever print. Taking a positive turn. I actually agree with this. I love the energy. Meltem actually calls out further below that this commenter who says, people hate to see a man believe in something. She sympathizes with that and says, whack ass energy, as we can see there on the big screen.
That is whack ass energy.
I mean, it's true, right? And there's another take that we can bring up. OSF kind of agrees with this, but it's ultimately a...
people are praying for his downfall. It's a classic sense of tall poppy syndrome. Hey, someone's doing super, super well. I talked to some investment banking friends. I talked to some people in like corporate law or whatever it is. And when you're talking about like when you're talking about this topic, not Leopold specifically, Leopold is always brought up. Everyone is talking about Leopold in the public markets, the private markets, whatever it is. But in tech, obviously, it's we have our own kind of things going on, problems. It's not like front and center all the time. But there, it is. It is the thing to be talking about. It's very interesting.
I mean, I agree.
And people are praying for the downfall. I mean, that's what Schadenfreude means. It says the feeling of joy, pleasure, or satisfaction you get when something bad happens to another person, which I didn't actually know.
Well, I'm saying let's give him more. Let's give him a few more Bs, a few more billions. Run it back.
See what he does. I mean, dude, as you said, he's eligible for capital. He
100%.
will go and raise stacks.
That's at MeltDem. If anyone wants to go follow the profile, there we go. At MeltDem, thermodynamics.
Oh, nice.
Enjoyer at Crucible Cap.
We're not being paid
take.
by Melton, by the way.
By Crucible Cap. There is another take that I want to share from OSF, previous guest of the show.
Please do.
He makes us aware of essentially what is the plan next, what is the strategy, how is Leopold thinking about this. OSF says, let me tell you something. If you face big losses as a fund, your immediate reaction isn't going to investors and saying, hey mate, we desperately need more money or we're going to go bankrupt. This is a fund, not an operating company. They don't need a bailout. They're gonna be going to the lads and saying, listen, this is a generational buying opportunity and we want to triple down on everything. Let's buy more. And OSF says he tends to believe that they will make a lot of money in doing so. He started dollar cost averaging into AI stocks a couple of days ago, having been all cash for a while, going to continue that, add weaknesses over the next few weeks with some patience. He also finishes it off at the bottom with a
I mean, think about it. He's done very, very well. He's already he's still 1,000% up. And net 400 and what did I say? 89% up. So he is still killing it. Give him more money and go and rep again.
No double doubt.
Indeed.
But that is OSF, friend of the show, co-founder, CEO of Wrecked Drinks. Go check him out. He's doing some cool work. He's also running his own live streams at the moment as well.
He is.
One of the OGs in the crypto space. But that is Leopold. That is the story with Leopold. We think that he'll be back and he'll be better than ever. I'm sure we'll see a funding round be announced, some further financing very soon. And when it does, we will report on that as well.
Indeed. Polymarket, the world's largest prediction market. Stay informed and profit from your knowledge. Go to polymarket.com. Everyone likes Polymarket in the studio today.
Always doing well. In this current trend, why are these stocks down? What's happening? This was a piece that came out recently around the Korean investors. They are stressing after the AI bubble burst. We saw that their COPSI was basically reaching unprecedented heights based off the memory rush, based off the memory shortage. Stocks like Samsung, SK Hynix stock had been absolutely flying. They were making all the timelines. We covered it on the show as well. A lot of these investors were heavily exposed. A lot of Korean investors were heavily exposed to this as well, naturally. And it's causing a few margin calls. It's causing some retail investors to potentially experience some downsides that may not have been they've not been warned about previously. This is not only retail investors, but also larger corporates as well getting involved. The FT reports that Sung Mai Kyung pocketed a profit of about $200,000 earlier this year as South Korea's stock market surged on the AI boom. The 60-year-old Seoul resident has now found out the hard way that stocks can go down as well as up after a wild week on the Kospi. Just really breaks my heart to see this. Her portfolio now shows a paper loss of more than 60% as the index heads for a record monthly slide. It is now down nearly 40% from its June peak, wiping out $2 trillion of its value.
This was funny. It was the Wall Street Journal. I know you're on the FT at the moment, but the Wall Street Journal, they reported that a record quarterly profit of $64 billion is now not enough. They were saying two years ago, or not even probably less than that. It is it is super exciting, happy days, whatever. But now it's just not enough. It's not making anyone excited anymore.
Which is weird, like those are insane amounts of money. It's insane amounts of profit. But the market is not favoring. I guess like the surge and the crash and the surge and the attention that everything was getting. There's always a level of like that sentiment is connected to a future expectation of value. So like as soon as like the narrative shifts maybe in terms of, maybe what's going on like with open source stuff, the threats from China, it doesn't matter if it makes logical sense. It only really matters what is the current narrative. The narrative could be wrong, but the narrative could be negative for stocks, cause it to fall, and then it's just like, well, what are we meant to do here? Like, the company's performing incredibly well.
Well, the WSJ reported data centers require large quantities of memory chips to train and operate AI systems, and most analysts believe demand will continue surging. That has lifted shares in of the three leading memory chip makers, SK Hynix, Samsung, and Micron Technology of the US. SK Hynix shares have been particularly sought after because of its expertise in high bandwidth memory, a specialized type of chip computing. Now, if you remember what happened, I don't know when it was, a few months ago about what happened with Samsung. I think the average payout was about $340,000 for one of the workers, which is obviously bonkers. And
good job getting that in. Hey guys, like for them.
Yeah.
Good job sneaking that one in there. Good old fashioned union getting in there and rallying.
They did. They're still up about 70% as well.
Oh, happy days for them.
Yeah.
All sunshines over there. So Song is among tens of millions of South Korean retail investors caught in this week's tech sell-off after piling into one of the world's best performing stock markets to cash in on a booming global demand for memory chips. After a blistering rally this year led by Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix, which account for nearly half of the Kospi, the index shed just over 17% in 3 days to its lowest level since early April, following a savage sell-off for both companies. Nevertheless, Samsung and SK are still up about 60% and 95% respectively this year. So trouble for those who came in late, trouble for those who probably bought the top. It's especially for retail, it's very hard not to jump in there when you see something going up. You see something going down and you kind of don't want to touch it, but something's going up, it's like happy days, let me jump on this rocket ship. Most of those people that are getting stung probably came in the last 3 months maybe. The brokerage Korea Investment and Securities said on Wednesday that nearly half of its 880,000 clients who bought Samsung shares were now sitting on losses, while nearly 70% of its 408,000 investors in SK Hynix were also in the red. That's a lot of people. The number of active individual stock trading accounts in Korea has neared 110 million, equivalent of about 2 for every single citizen. And this has probably happened in the last... this kind of came out of nowhere. This was the last 8 months. Mm-hmm. All of this craze started. I remember when we first reported on it. I remember when we first looked at SanDisk. Actually, it was absolutely ages ago, and then we didn't buy any of it, which is pretty stupid. But it went on like a crazy tear after we'd spoken about it on the show. This just kind of walks you through the state in South Korea right now, specifically for retail investors jumping in there. We love to see retail investors win. They were probably having the time of their lives up until about the last 7 days.
We love to see the workers. We love to see the workers of Samsung getting paid $300,000.
And also the CEOs.
All of their amazing work.
Also the CEOs of Samsung. Raking in record profits. We love that. Shareholder value is through the roof. It was through the roof. It probably still is. It's still up on the year. So, overall, good performance year on year. Just in some slight trouble right now. I'm sure everyone will recover, and I'm sure everyone will continue to increase shareholder value, which is the main thing that everyone needs to happen in their life.
Indeed.
But that is the South Korean retail investors. We wish them well. I'm sure they'll get out of this. I think you just gotta keep going. You just gotta keep trading. Trade your way out of it. That's my advice.
Keep the lights
on. Which is not financial advice as well, by the way, because I'm not sure that's live
long enough to keep the lights on. Let's move on. Before we do that, Framer, build better sites faster. The all-in-one platform where enterprise teams design, build, and ship products and ready websites. No dev handoff, no bottlenecks, no creative compromises. Go to framer.com/ETN to go and find out about Framer. Let's move on to another Wall Street Journal article. Do you want to jump in?
Let's see, we've got Ben Sarah is in the WSJ.
Let's go.
Ben Sarah over there at Pulsia. If you spell it backwards, it says AI slop. He's in the WSJ. For those who aren't aware, Pulsar went on an absolute tear this last year. It is a one-man company making multi-millions of dollars. The Wall Street Journal trip, I love that. Definitely needed. This guy's crushing.
Can I just say quickly, now we've got the article up, this guy needs a good chair.
What is he on?
Can we zoom into this? There's another shot because it's like it's like something you get in it's like something you get in a really annoying office that they've like tried to over stylize, and it's just not. It's like non-comfort style.
Yeah, it looks expensive. That looks like an expensive chair.
I mean, I'm sure it is. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
That looks like an expensive chair, but
some expensive chairs are also very comfy.
Why
are we, why are we sacrificing comfort for? I mean, he's built a company on his own to 10 million in revenue, but still, I mean, it's shocking that that's his chair.
We'll have to reach out to him and ask. Last time he was on the show, we had a great conversation, but we'll have to reach out to Ben and ask, dude, what's going on with the chair there? Does not look very ergonomic whatsoever.
Yeah.
Also, if it's in your own house, surely you'd prioritize. There we go. Got a bit of a zoom going.
Let's go. Rocking the two monitors. That's
is
fine.
It AI generated, maybe?
Windows he's got. No. I've seen this before. He's doing a very, very good job on his content. He's hired a videographer to do his content, and
Jedi was working with him for a bit, actually.
Yes, agree.
Saw that. Yeah, that chair. We've got to sort that chair out.
Sorry. Anyway, let's move on to the article.
Yes. So it's the rise of the $1 million companies. So WSJ has reported on Ben Sarah's AI company Pulsar. It starts off with Ben Broker launched a company last December that offers AI tools to entrepreneurs. He's already added 10,000 paying customers and is on track to bring in 10 million in revenue this year. One thing he hasn't added, any other employees. So this is a single person company bringing in 10 million in revenue. That is $10 million per employee. The 40-year-old is part of a class of entrepreneurs who are launching and then often running new companies on their own. Artificial intelligence tools answer brokers' emails, help write and debug code, field requests from customers, sign up new subscribers, and grant refunds when issues arise. Broker relishes his ability to make whatever decisions he wants on his own, often from his sun-drenched, how do you say that? Someplace in California. Sausalito,
Let's go.
Californian living room.
Nice.
Which is where I assume he is in that photo with that chair that I have a few questions about. I think compromises make lukewarm results, he said. Once upon a time, running a business of a certain size required a team. AI is turning that assumption upside, and more aspiring entrepreneurs are going it alone. It has never been easier to make millions of dollars.
Agree. So do you remember that Stripe article that got released, the age of the solo entrepreneur? Semi-recently, they mention it in the Wall Street Journal. It says that an analysis by the payments company Stripe showed that there are thousands of solo operators on the company's platform that are generating over $1 million in revenue, with their ranks doubling between 2023 and 2025. The number of solo operators crossing $10 million near tripled in the same time span. I pulled up some of the numbers. Yeah, so roughly 3x as many solopreneurs crossed $5 million in 2025 versus 2023, not just the $10 million tier. The share of a solo entrepreneur earning above these thresholds also doubled in 2 years. Stripe's read is that newer cohorts are higher quality, not just a bigger funnel with a few lucky outliers. Around 4 million Americans earned their primary income as solo entrepreneurs, generating $100,000 in 2023, up from the mid 2 million range in the early 2010s. Yeah, super interesting. I thought that was like, I mean, obviously, like plays perfectly into the Ben Sarah narrative, but he is just one of the very first and few that is doing it, and I think more and more will come out. We had that tweet from Levels actually talking about. Let me just get it up because this was super interesting.
Oh, the article brings in some of that data as well.
Go for it.
So analysis by company Stripe.
I said that.
Okay, yeah, you covered that. So in the past, people without business contact or particular savvy might not have known how to get their ideas off the ground, said Ernie Tedeschi, Stripe's chief economist. Now AI can be built in business. Now AI can be a built-in business partner, he said. AI's ability to handle various administrative tasks makes it potentially useful for launching solo businesses in many fields. But the technology's ability to handle key tasks in tech, like coding, make that field a particular hotspot, which is exactly where Ben of Sarah sits. They've brought up a lovely graph here, actually, that could be nice to pull up onto the screen. This census data set doesn't track solo-operated businesses, but the numbers broadly show in tech and beyond that applications are flat among businesses likely to hire workers, but generally rising elsewhere. So this is new business formations around information sector, and you can see there around, so this is probably, when was GPT dropped? Like a number of years ago, but when it started getting good.
Sorry, September 24.
You can start to see, this absolutely.
I mean, that was the right, yeah.
Skyrocket, but I wonder what is the definition of a new business? Like, is that just a registered company? Is that a company that's making money? Is that,
There'll be a threshold.
How would you, surely there would have to be a threshold to limit, just set,
I think it's probably a business that's generated X amount of, it's generated $1 plus, I would say. New business, $1 plus.
That would cross just any revenue generating.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that's making more revenue than the AI company with no revenue, right? It's probably raised like 50 million. So
true.
What is a better business in that regard? What is more definition?
Would you rather $50 million raised or no dollar raised and $1 in revenue?
Depends on my valuation. Give me a $1 trillion valuation with 50 million raised. I will take that.
I don't know if that's ever been done before, unfortunately.
There's probably some SF-based lab popping up tomorrow from a couple of ex-lab engineers that will do it. But the article touches on a few more interesting pieces just around what Ben's doing. Going it alone with AI can still be surprisingly expensive. Brocker said he was losing money on many customer accounts while paying to access Claude to run basically all the client requests. He has since switched to open source AI models from China. So he's moving his whole operation from frontier prop models over to open source models. Again, just for cost efficiencies. Brock said he has raised 30 million from investors, and at the same time, he has saved millions in salary since he hasn't needed a team of software engineers. I forgot it was 30 million that he raised total.
Yeah, because he raised recently, didn't he?
Yeah. There was an announcement.
And then a lot of people were like, dude, if you're making, because probably at that time he was making 2 or 3 million, and it was just him as well,
one employee,
right? Or one employee. So everyone was like, why are you raising? Like, what's the need? Most people raise, obviously, higher demand, higher headcount, fit the demand with the headcount, But that's just not like, it sounds like, much. I mean, and obviously the business model is built so the higher the demand and the higher and the more revenue the business makes isn't tied to a headcount or more work. And I mean, I guess it is if there's more customer requests or kind of like things that need doing, shipping more products, of course, issuing more refunds, all of that kind of stuff. But I think, the article says, he's doing all of that with AI. Rebuilding some of the business with code, understanding what's going on, all of this kind of stuff. Managing the new demand, managing more refunds, all of that. Everything is done with AI. So people are like, why are you raising? You don't need to.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, why would you raise then?
I don't know.
I don't know how much revenue he was doing previously prior to the raise, but maybe global expansion plans. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Ben Sarah over there at Pulse here. We'd love to have him back on the show. Actually, we can reach out to him to give him back, see how things are going. It was a great conversation last time. We can move on to what we have next on the docket for today. We have got, this was insane. This is eBay. The eBay scandal that hit the timeline a couple days ago. We were waiting to run through it properly, but eBay has paid a couple $56 million for its role in a cockroach harassment campaign. The title that the FT gives. The couple received threatening deliveries, including funeral wreaths, after criticizing e-commerce retailer in a blog. A little bit of background on this. These people were essentially, they had their own blog. They were writing some reports around, some blog posts around eBay and how, some elements of the site weren't that good. Some things weren't arriving on time. There were problems with, the UX of the site. Just a few things dotted around, basically sometimes taking a few shots at the executives as well. But the executive team decided to take it upon themselves to address this problem. And the FT has done a good job reporting on it. eBay and former top executives of the company will pay $55.7 million to resolve a lawsuit alleging an elaborate harassment campaign against the couple who wrote blogs critical to the e-commerce retailer. The couple, Ina and David Steiner, accused eBay leadership of mailing a series of threatening deliveries to the Steiners' home in 2019, including a box of live cockroaches, a bloody pig head's mask, and a funeral wreath. The Steiners also accused executives of online harassment, including online posts inviting strangers to their house for sex, apparently. eBay pleaded guilty. They were like, yep, we did all that. Guilty in 2023 in a criminal case over the harassment and paid a $3 million penalty following criminal charges in 2020. 7 employees of the company were sentenced to prison for terms ranging between 1 to 5 years. These are eBay employees doing this. Imagine they're sending bloody pig masks, cockroaches to your house. It's a full-blown campaign to bring this couple who are writing very own blog around eBay, which has been ordered from eBay executives, by the way. Publicly listed company, just very, very casual.
How does that slip through the?
So I remember seeing something on X of a guy does anyone remember this? And it was a screenshot from a write-up of this happening. So I don't know what stirred further developments. Maybe the FT have just picked it up recently, but they've obviously looked into it a lot more than the previous reporting had done. So according to the court documents, eBay executives grew increasingly upset by the Steiners' critical coverage of the company in early 2019, leading then Chief Executive Devin Wenig to text another executive that it was time to crush Ina Steiner and take her down. At this point, why would you not just buy the blog post? You just buy it and shut it down.
Shut it down.
Or you acquire it, you shut it down. I don't know, maybe they didn't want to sell, maybe they did reach out to them, but surely that would be a better strategy to relieve them of this inbound of this.
I'm just trying to think about what happens in a meeting where they're trying to figure out ways to stop the blog.
If someone's like, "Yo,
by the way, I think
cockroaches to their house."
yeah.
That's it. I don't know why you wouldn't just buy it. There are many cases of this happening as well. People that have a load of money, they sit in senior positions, executive positions, where they maybe have some sort of public profile that they're happy to spend some money to protect. They could afford it. They would just buy it and just delete it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a case of being able to afford it. I think it's a case of whether they're they probably did reach out to them and say, hey, let's buy this.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do that. It's not illegal to do whatever, so they couldn't necessarily sue them or anything. Maybe they could have sued them for defamation or something.
Yeah, but I don't know. Probably not for a blog, right? I mean, they probably would have tried, and then I guess maybe
it just falls through.
Didn't work. But no, instead they decided
they had to resort to cockroaches.
To cockroaches. So that summer, harassment against the Steiners escalated from threatening messages to delivering items to their home, which also included a book about surviving spousal bereavement, pornographic magazines sent to neighbors' homes in David Steiner's name. That is outrageous. Wow, that is absolutely outrageous. I hadn't seen that bit previously. That'd be awful, wouldn't it? Wow.
eBay stand on business.
Loads of pornographic magazines turning up to your neighbors with your name having ordered them. eBay employees also traveled to Massachusetts to vandalize the Steiners' home and stalk them around their hometown of Natick. How bad Could have
How much do
these
you reckon they
blog
spent
posts been?
on all of this?
Loads of money, obviously. Like they're,
but
flying people to. I don't know where they are. To be fair, traveling.
maybe they
to
spent
Massachusetts,
$200,000. Maybe.
Maybe in the realm of
I mean, like that. I mean, obviously that's a lot of money to just like throw away. But obviously they're trying to remove the problem. But I don't know. Surely
maybe the
a
blog
post,
cost a lot of money. The blog maybe the blog was quite large.
What, and they were charging. Imagine eBay didn't add in this blog.
What?
eBay doing
in
that.
their blog. Yeah. I doubt that they would allow that. But so yeah, they really ramped things up. All the employees involved in the harassment were fired in September 2019. eBay said in 2020, the US prosecutors charged 7 of the former employees of eBay with cyber stalking the Steiners. I feel that hopefully the executive that was commanding all of this also took the fall. I assume not. Probably just sent the cavalry out there. The cavalry got chopped down, and the king returned to his castle. It looks like, because I mean that's probably why he's not doing it themselves.
All the details were only like kind of said, face to face, no
behind
emails, no WhatsApps, nothing. Keep the paper trail
he's
out
one
there.
text.
One text.
But yeah, surely that's enough to incriminate you as the leader behind this. The Steiners have filed the civil lawsuit against eBay and former employees of the company in 2021. Under the settlement, the couple will receive $48.7 million in compensation from eBay and former employees. eBay will pay $6 million to charitable organizations as well, and Wenig will pay $1 million to a free speech charity in Ina Steiner's name. Scally Murphy Law, which represented the couple, announced the details of the settlement in a statement. They say, in a statement, eBay said the harassment was wrong, reprehensible, and should never have happened, and acknowledged the unprofessional tone in internal communications.
That's the most corporate way to put it.
I think, define unprofessional tone. That's like, not someone being like slightly rude at the water cooler. This is like, we're literally harassing you, and we're sending your neighbor's porn in your name.
That's
and we're sending you
pretty unprofessional tone.
Pig mass. That is a pretty unprofessional tone, actually. So
I guess they're not wrong, but
No, it's super right. That's like another similar thing to like, we are not immune to upsetting some of our colleagues. Another crazy story. I couldn't believe that when I was reading that. I know we were chatting about it off stream last night a little bit in Slack, because we have that we have a channel where we're like chuck some funny tweets in here, chuck some funny articles in here, and as I was sending that one in, I think someone else had just sent it in, so we were quite keen to cover that. But that is eBay. What's going on with eBay and GameStop actually?
Nothing's really been developed. No, I think it's he's trying to figure out because they're not
even engaging.
Yeah, they're not engaging.
Okay.
So I think he is basically just trying to work to get a meeting, basically.
Interesting. Well, Godspeed.
I mean, it wasn't really a serious. Well, it obviously was a serious. He came seriously to this thing, and he didn't have the money. It also seems not necessary for eBay to sell.
Doesn't seem like an appropriate offer.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like they're having a good time harassing people. So
what was the trending, like 50 cash, 50 stock?
No, half cash, half stock.
So
how
good.
are you going to buy this multi-billion-dollar company?
Half stock. That's so good.
Yeah.
That
was a great part of the timeline. I love that.
That was really good. Yeah, things were popping then. Let me tell you about Base, our friends over there at Base. It is the infrastructure of the on-chain world. Base is built to empower builders, creators, and people everywhere to build apps, grow businesses, create what they love, and earn on-chain.
Sure.
Go to base.org to get involved with everything that they're doing over there. Next story of the day, we have a look into. So this is a look into KPMG's summer intern training. It read to me slightly like a daycare center.
I mean, if you look at the pictures of the Oscar, I mean, go down, scroll down as well. Scroll down.
That's oh wow, they literally look like children at school. It's like children at school.
Yeah.
So this hit the timeline the other day. We went to boot camp where KPMG teaches auditors to think critically. The accounting firm put interns through a scavenger hunt and whodunit fraud exercise as the career path changes. This was reported by the WSJ. Minutes into the assignment, the teams lose a member. Management needs them for another project. Design a logo. Don't use the color blue. Only a senior associate can use scissors. Except all the senior associates are out sick. Make it an animal corresponding to a KPMG founder. Make sure the lion or owl is in business attire.
I love how they tie it back to. I remember doing my like entrance exams or whatever it is to get into like a investment fund or whatever it was when I was at uni, and they all try and tie it back to work, obviously, and it's like
So lame.
Senior associates, they're out, so that means scissors are gone too. You know,
So weird. How is that going to help you in your professional life? I just don't understand these things.
I did want to just bring up the in the article it says in a new program this summer KPMG brought nearly 1,000 of its audit and insurance assurance interns to the accounting firm's sprawling $450 million trading facility near the Orlando FLA airport. The several days of training in critical thinking and judgment, the logo challenge, what a name, was one of the several exercises designed to use those skills alongside a scavenger hunt and a whodunit fraud exercise. At least they've like actually.
Why is that a thing? I'm sorry.
At least they've actually done it. At least they've actually done a name. The logo challenge is. Come on.
Well, think that
Give it a little
think
bit
it was
of spice.
Colonel Custard in the meeting room 4. Like what's that? How's that meant to be a thing?
Okay, let's play a game. Let's list out some of the skills that you feel like you would learn by doing the logo challenge. Maybe we should get Alex and Max to do the logo challenge.
What, right now?
Yeah.
You do it on the whiteboard.
All right, Alex and Max, can you guys hear us? Okay, we're going to do a logo challenge with you. You have 5 minutes. We have 30 minutes till VB comes in the studio. You have 5 minutes to create a logo. It has to have the color green in it. It has to not have the color red and blue in it. And it has to involve a chair. Go.
What is that? How is that?
Do we want them to do this on the whiteboard so we can wheel it in?
Yeah. On the whiteboard would be good.
No. Let's do it on Max. Let's do it on Max, and then they can send it to him. We can get them on the screen. Huh?
Yeah. Okay.
You go. Canva, whatever it is, Figma, Claude Design, go crazy.
Burn all of
ETN's compute by making this logo, please.
What were the KPMG interns allowed? Were they allowed to?
Don't use the color blue. Also, senior associates are out of the office, by the way. Just to,
And only there you can use scissors.
So useful.
Work that into the logo designs.
Okay, we'll see what they cook up. Let's keep going. This year, the firm shrank. Oh, this is actually quite interesting. This is about because obviously what's going on in AI, everything that's happening. There were record numbers of record lows of junior associates being hired in and grads being hired into some of these large, to the big 4 accounting firms, whatever it is, and consulting. And this kind of touches on it a little bit. It said this year the firm shrank the number of US audit partners by 10% and is completely rethinking the role of junior level auditors. College grads who generally start with a salary of $80,000. At the same time, KPMG is bringing in more auditing work from clients. The question of how to train a young worker is existential for many companies using AI to redesign how work gets done. Some CEOs are using AI tools to trim their workforces, of course, and predicting white-collar jobs will vanish. A lot of people my age, this is from Rachel Ryan, a KPMG audit intern. A lot of people my age are having a hard time with this idea that technical skills are not the only thing we need to succeed. Oh my God, they're going to have to talk to people. She folded the paper and tried to tear it as neatly as possible when she wasn't allowed scissors to make the logo. More than 60 different Groups of interns huddled around tables, sifting through income statements, newspaper articles, and an org chart. They needed to determine whether a bakery employee had committed fraud. The bakery's owner, who had grand plans for expansion and had laid off factory workers, seemed like a suspect, but the bookkeeper raised suspicions too. She was the first to arrive and last to leave every night. The 2-hour whodunit exercise is designed to encourage students to avoid bias and use professional judgment to solve a tricky accounting problem. Now, I think professional judgment, in our logo challenge, do we think we can I don't know, pull a string where there's professional judgment being tested?
Of course, that will be. There can be no profanity on the logo.
They can't use the color blue and red.
Yeah, they can't use the color blue and red.
That's ETN colors.
To go against, how the work has been laid out. That would be unfortunate. So we'll see. What's the deadline on this?
5 minutes. You guys have 2 minutes left.
2 minutes.
2 minutes left. They'll be sending them in to our producer Sam, and Sam will be getting them up on the big screen for everyone to see.
Indeed.
Our team's logos.
This is interesting. They said to develop the new training, leaders considered the tasks an associate might do, like reviewing AI agent output or presenting findings to their supervisors. Accounting firms typically bring in classes of entry-level employees because they have high attrition over the first few years. KPMG, the smallest of the big four firms, employs about 35,000 people in the US and has 2,100 interns this summer, of which 950 are assigned to the audit division. More than 90% of audit and assurance interns receive full-time job positions. Their jobs will be reviewing agent outputs. How dull is that? An intern position at a big four accounting firm, generally doing auditing, is probably quite boring anyway. But
that job would also
be
at risk.
You're watching AI do a job and saying whether it's good or not. Am I wrong?
That's kind of what most developers and coders are doing right now.
Yeah.
This is just like managing agents in a way. That's obviously at an incredibly lower level, obviously.
But it's more. You have to know what to. You have to know what to prompt. You have to know. You have to know what things to do when, how to build things, whatever it is. But but this is just. It seems like you're not orchestrating agents. You're not directing agents on certain tasks. There's none of that. It is generally just. Hey, good output or bad output? Good.
They say,
carry on.
Shari Schuster, a KPMG managing director who led the training redesign, said the auditing profession used to, and then in quotation marks, just put you on a job, and then over 5 years before you become a manager, you did enough that you were kind of ready for this next step. We can't really take that for granted anymore, they're saying. So I guess, the element is, oh my Lord, can we pull these photos up as well? I'm not sure if you can see my screen, or maybe you have it there as well. But
They're coming. We're just...
So it quite literally is just like a daycare center, $450 million daycare center for interns. KPMG, welcome to the future of AI. Please play on our...
How can they be playing mini golf and yet not a single one of them is smiling or seems happy at all to be there?
They're not having a good time. You can see. Is that a fake pool as well?
That's testing professional judgment. Do not fall in the water.
Yeah, that is quite literally a daycare camp for KPMG interns. Looks like a good laugh though.
Have you guys sent them to us?
I think we're just getting
Let's get them. Here we go.
Our team have sent in the designs.
We're getting the designs are coming through. Oh no, we're gonna have to sign in. Let's just talk to you about BVNK for a second.
Helicopter.
That's the wrong. That's the wrong one.
For BVNK.
I can't find the BVNK ad read. There is no BVNK ad read. Anyway, Metaview, AI agents for winning teams, the agentic recruiting platform built for radically efficient hiring, end-to-end, source engage, and hire better with agents that truly get your brief. Go to metaview.ai. Can we get these designs up?
Yeah, you ready?
Yep.
Let's bring them.
Are they coming up?
Designs coming at you slick and fast.
I've just seen it. It looks great. I'm actually a big fan of this.
Oh my lord.
I think that looks great.
Helicopter.
Whoever has done this, they clearly don't know how to remove a background, because I feel like they could have removed the background. That's one thing.
There's no use of red or blue though.
Would you like to know what the file name was called that I received?
No, not really.
It was called Remove Background.
Oh, okay, nice.
Wait, can the stream hear that?
Yeah, I think so.
That's so good.
I like the fact that they've used our full stop, which is good. That's good. I don't know why we have. I guess they're Roman.
Just two jacked dudes.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. Whoever did this.
They haven't used the
used to
same.
vote.
They haven't used the same photo. You have a corresponding one of the photo of me. I feel like they could have done that. So that's
Yeah,
putting
that's,
down a few
LinkedIn.
points.
LinkedIn.
I would give maybe, we'll see the next one, and then we'll go from there.
So the other individual has said that there's internet issues and that's their excuse for not sending it.
Wow.
So would you say that this one's the winner?
Yeah, that's the winner by
this is the
default,
winner.
not by merit.
Congrats to
So this is
remove background.
Max.
Yeah, that's why
Congratulations,
Max. Max, you're promoted to chief of staff.
Yeah. Congratulations to Max for winning the ETN logo challenge. Our next guest is joining us very shortly. It's VB over there at OpenAI. I'm getting word. I think we are. Are we
We're
ready
good.
to go? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it now. We can just jump straight to the interview, welcoming VB from OpenAI onto the show. Move this verb out of your way.
Right. Let's go. Let's do this. How are you?
For you as well.
Oh, yeah, you have a mic.
There we go.
Nice.
Your own mic. Dude, how are you? It's good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
You
Very
too.
good.
When was the last time we saw each other? AI engineer at
Was AI
Switzer's
engineers,
event.
and I think we spoke last in May.
Yeah, something
Yes,
like that.
yeah.
Dude, thank you for coming on the show again. So good to see you. We have so much to jump into.
Yes.
I'm trying to think where is the best place to start. Maybe since we last saw you, what can you share from OpenAI? Any updates? What are you guys really pumped about right now?
Sure. So, first of all, last time that we spoke, we had just released GPT 5.5 at that time. Since then, first of all, we've released GPT 5.6, right? It's not just one model, it's a series of models. So there's like GPT 5.6 Soul, there's Terra, there's Luna. And the idea behind us releasing these, like instead of one model, one flagship model, and like a series of models, is that we want to meet people where their needs are at, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want to throw like the most ambitious task at a model, then we've got Soul for you. If you want like something for your day-to-day task, then we've got Terra for you. Whilst like if you just want something to automate your daily workflows, there is Luna, right? And then something that we shipped recently, and something which I am quite passionate about, is this unified experience within ChatGPT. So let's take a step back. We launched the Codex app, I think in January or February. Within the first week, we saw like 1 million downloads, right? And so we knew that this was going to be like a really nice and new way for people to, consume these models and get the most out of these models, right? Mm-hmm. And as time went through, this became like one of the most used surfaces for using GPT series models and so on. One of the trends we saw recently was that 40% of the use cases that people were throwing at Codex were non-developer use cases. So these were use cases like, can you put together this slide deck for me? Can you make this spreadsheet? Can you, look at this? Can you prepare a cap table and do this research for me and so on? And so naturally what made sense was to bring all of this magic of Codex into ChatGPT, right? And that's where the sort of like unified experience of ChatGPT work as well as Codex comes in, which means if you're not a developer, or like if you don't want to be bogged down by the details of what is Git, what is a pull request, what is like all of these things, you can still get all of that just by going on that one single chat box. You type in like, make me this, and like Codex will automatically figure out what it needs to do. We'll figure out permissions and all of that, and you will just have to worry about the outcome and what you do with that. And so that's like a direction which I'm super excited about, and like continuing for us and our team, like working out here and building it better.
Dude, so cool.
Does it switch between? Did you mention it switch between the models depending on the task or no?
So it's like it really depends on like how much you want to have control over your workflows.
Yeah.
For majority of use cases, I would just recommend going on Sol and just using Medium as like the reasoning effort. I think I use that as my daily driver. It's good enough for most. If you're like running a lot of, I don't know, evals, or like you're using the models in like an app or something like that, in that case, you may want to like fine tune that.
Yeah.
But in most cases, you can just ask Codex or like chat to run some evals and like come up with a configuration that works for you.
Sure.
Really cool. And this split between, you mentioned, so it's not just sort of primarily, I guess, like developers, use cases across most of the stuff that you guys are doing, but this is essentially opening up that top of funnel to maybe more tech-curious individuals that aren't necessarily. What was the thinking here? Like, how's that going? How's that? I'm not calling it like a shift or anything, but like, I guess that's a new frontier that you guys are trying to widen the funnel at the top to bring more people in.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's no joke that like people really love chat, right? Like, there's close to 1 billion people who are using it like weekly, and in my opinion, everyone should be able to just go from having just an idea to an end result or like an outcome without having to worry about what steps or like what is happening behind the scenes, all whilst they feel safe and secure in this entire whole sort of like setup. And the thinking behind bringing all of this magic of Codex into chat was exactly that. It was that how can we reduce the let's say like how overwhelming a UI can be for people, and like reduce the barrier for anyone to try and get to doing the said thing. And this is where sort of ChatGPT work came in. And if you actually think about Codex, there's like a few things, right? Like, let's say you want to build an app, right? Now, if you're not someone who's from a technical background and you just go on Codex, you would have to set up your laptop. You would have to set up like bunch of environments. And sure, Codex can do a lot for you, but it can still be like a bit overwhelming. But with work, what we did was we packaged in like this cloud environment, which would just work automatically. You don't even, like, from your phone, you can just be like, build me an app for ETN to schedule like, speakers who are going to come in. And, have that send it notifications. All of this, you can literally just do it from your phone just because it has this managed environment, which is one, safe, two, secure, has access to all the things that you wanted to have access to. And this was just not possible like 2 weeks back, and it is now possible. And this has been like remarkably successful, right? We, ever since the launch, we were, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think we were like gaining 1 million weekly active users pretty much every other day. Wow. To the point like we recently crossed 10 million weekly active users. And with each of these, we celebrated with giving people resets and like having them enjoy both the magic of 5.6 as well as just this unified experience. And people have built some really amazing stuff throughout. So,
yeah. Anything like anything that's exciting you working with like developers specifically, but also like these enterprise companies that are coming on board as well. You mentioned that they've built some really cool stuff. Is there anything that comes to mind in terms of like what's the sickest thing that someone's cooking up now? Like with the ETN thing you mentioned, like that would actually be incredibly helpful. And I know we've spoken offline before about setting us up with something, so we actually need to do that.
Yes.
Because as soon as you're saying this, I'm just like, why aren't we doing this already? But anything like developer side, anything that cool that you're seeing coming out the community that's really getting you excited. I know like you're heavily involved in that area.
Yes.
But then after that, I'd love to hear more about the enterprise side as well.
Sure. So first of all, I need to set you guys up with like ChatGPT,
yes.
and like I need to like make you guys like as ChatGPT pillars like possible. But like just thinking about like developers, right? There's first of all the first thing that this interface allows them to do is that it just lets them explore their curiosity, right? And we've seen, people build, like, this is kind of funny, but like, people have been really pushing GPT 5.6 on gamings and like just like single-use games, just like stuff that you can put together. Like there's this person, his name is Thomas. He's on my team, and he just he's also the person, one of the very talented developers behind the ChatGPT mobile app as well. And his like favorite pastime is to just like build games. And he would build like games ranging from I don't know, like a racing boat game or like I don't know, like 3D worlds and whatnot. And it's really only just like he would prompt them as like he would think about it. A couple hours later, there's like a very good first proof of concept out there, right?
Yeah.
And like we've seen a lot of these creative use cases. Like there was this really nice sort of marketing campaign of sort, which just like organically happened on the timeline very recently. Was people started putting the OpenAI logo and Codex on like images. I don't know if you like saw that.
Yeah. Like it was like really high quality,
yes,
beautifully designed.
Yes.
Yeah,
and it all just started with like I forgot the name of the person, but she had just posted an image of her and just saying that this is who talks to you whenever you are saying something or like something like that
on a couch.
Yeah, or
in a living room maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Jason on my team, he like went on and like created this app wherein you can upload any image and you can get the same sort of like image out, and with like a OpenAI logo and like Codex logo, it went like giga viral. Everyone like had, people had images of them being out on, mountain bikes, hitting the trails, and then have like Codex written on it, worked for like 3 hours, whatever. It says all of this used to be like well thought out marketing campaigns before. Now it's just like organically, people are just like, oh, I love this, right? And this unified experience allows you to bring in all the technology that we have worked together on, right? So it's like GPT Image 2.0, like our image series of models. We've got our, voice models. We've got of course, our GPT 5.6 series of models, and so on and so forth. It brings all of these together, and you can just like combine the benefits of all of them together to come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Well, sorry, you mentioned the game stuff. Like I remember this has been such a fun use case for people to experiment with, like trying to one shot.
Yeah.
Whether it's just like a standard like first person shooter or like trying to do like multiplayer. Like Levels had his famous, I forget the name of it, but like the flying one.
Yeah, the simulator. Yeah.
That wasn't one shot. It was like it took
That's
It took
how
a while
crazy to build.
how quick these things move, right? Like that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he
And,
spent like a couple days or something.
Yeah,
on it.
And now it's like you can one shot something way better than that.
Yeah. So that's like what I'm trying to wonder is like how far away are we from like high quality multiplayer games being able to get one shot?
Yeah.
I think, first of all, it's hard to make prediction in this sort of day and age, right?
Yeah.
but I think at the end of the day, any creative artifact is as good as the taste that you inject in it, right? It's like, even if today, like you were to, I don't know, throw like millions of compute onto a problem with just one prompt, you would only go so far, right? It's like, you still need to know, like, where exactly should the experience go? Where exactly should like all of these things go? And then like, the sort of boring part of making sure are the assets okay, is the soundtrack okay, and like stuff like that. That is something which like the model can do like quite a bit of heavy lifting on. But I do think that we're sort of like, as we look forward, I do think we're headed into into this paradigm wherein models can just work for hours and hours and hours straight, right? Yeah. To give you an example, a while back we released something called /goal, right? It is this ability that if you write like, I don't know, build me a Batman game or whatever, like build me this video /goal, Codex won't stop on that particular topic until it has finished that goal, right? And this was like GPT 5.5 times, so just one model before 5.6. And everyone went crazy with this. Like people were building like stock market, prediction thingies, and like someone is building like an entire startup just based on /goal. Someone is like automating their entire job just with one thread and whatnot. Now come to 5.6, you actually don't even need /goal because the model itself is so high agency that it would just continue going until the task is not done. So we literally added a feature which is now more or less obsolete, right? And so we're kind of in this like paradigm wherein as we start to add these features, these could just be like one-off features, right?
Yeah.
And one thing actually I forgot to mention before that I would love to talk about is voice, right? I am like a huge proponent of just dumping down your ideas into like a chat box and then letting the model figure it out. And recently we released ChatGPT Voice. It's like a bi-directional model, right? The model can, as you talk, can translate, right? So if you speak French or whatever, the model will translate to French, and if you speak it back to me, it will speak to me in English. And we took this exact model, which is multilingual, and we put this into Codex. We launched this last week. And it's been like honestly like magical. Like you have this like glowing orb, and you're just like, hey dude, like can you like go to this project and work on this thread? It would just kickstart a task in that particular thread. Yeah. And it's just working. And then I can just be like, hey, like what's the status on this one thing which I sent to this person on Slack? It would go spin up a task, tell me what is exactly happening. And it's like talking to like a chief of staff, you know? You can just dump all of your ideas. It will figure out which all projects it has to kick off these tasks in. And truly like you spend time on things that you should spend time on, which is like being creative, being, trying to figure out where the art of possibility is, trying to figure out where do you want this cracked engineer to work on, right? And I quite like this paradigm and it going forward.
Do you guys find that there's going to be, we're getting super close to a time where people will have, multiple models kind of working and agents working just all at the same time. Where does that where does that put like an employee at, say, a Fortune 500 company doing their job? Does that mean everyone is just going to have an agent working, multiple agents working all the time? Where does that put people in that situation?
I think there's lots of parts of work that people just don't like. Yeah. Like for example, me as a former developer, I say former developer because I just like prompt Codex, like I'm just like a prompting machine, I'm just like, do this. But me as a former developer, I just like really hated dealing with, all of these pull requests, waiting for someone to approve it, or, just trying to drive alignment between 5 different people, all of whom have like different ideas, all, quite right, but just like having to wait for all of this and then, shipping a feature maybe, 1 week down the line or like 2 weeks down the line and so on. But now I can still like focus on what I like doing, which is like I can still focus on what feature is worth building, what do I want to build with it, how do I want to build it, and like all the boring stuff of like making sure that this is merged, making sure that all the tests are complete and so on, from like purely from a developer standpoint, is something which is totally abstracted away from me. And like there is an agent which is working constantly on this, right? And there's parts of my life which I've automated similarly. For example, every day, like we're a 24/7 run company. There's we're spread across geographies. Of course, majority of my team is based in the US. I also have team based in APAC. And we're basically working around the sun on different projects at any given point in time, which means that we have an ever so increasing number of Slack channels, right? And so I have this like Codex automation, which would work every hour. It would go through all of my Slack messages, my emails, my Notion, and like all of these tools that I use. And it would create like a to-do for me when I wake up. And it's like, these are the most important things. Here are things which you can ignore. Here are things which you should absolutely like respond to. And this would like even like a month or two back would take me at least an hour in the morning, just going through like mindlessly like a zombie, like go through all the notifications and be like, okay, this is important, this is not. And like, I would inevitably forget something. And then, someone at like 8 p.m. is like, hey, like, dude, can you like help me with this? And I'm like, okay, but now like I can do all of this just because there is this like persistent sort of agent which is like working for me. And I think the goal is like for everyone to have these like persistent agents without having to worry about how they're working, having them safe, having them secure, having them connect to tools that you work on and so on.
Yeah. How many by like an order of magnitude type of setup, like how many orders of magnitude is a developer now in terms of like, we talk about the 10x developers, the 100x developers, like compared to last year? Because like last year, I remember like during the height of things, everything was getting, people were stunned at the pace that the space is moving. But I feel now like even a year back then is kind of like 2 months now. Yeah. From your perspective, like I'm sure you're probably one of the most like thoroughly integrated individuals in terms of how AI works, not only throughout your working life, but I probably imagine your personal life as well. How much more capable are individuals today compared to like even just last year?
Yeah, I think a very good example of this is Peter Steinberger, like the OpenAI guy. So I remember when I met him, I think in November or in December. At that point, he was like one of the folks who were really pushing Codex to the edge. Like they were like, he was doing, I don't know, like north of multiple billion tokens every day at that point, right? Now it's like much more easier to do, right? Like he was really pushing these models, right? And he was like running them almost as if like it was like a software factory. Right? He had multiple agents doing multiple different types of things, multiple agents reviewing multiple different types of things. And he's always been at I would say, like the frontier of all of this development. And and this is all what, like 7 months back, right? If we look from there to now, as models have become better and as product has caught up to how good these models are, I think we've bridged the gap between giving all of these capabilities that only the Peter Steinbergers of the world had to everyone, right? And I feel like we will continue to sort of like go down that route, both by continuing to make our models more token efficient, one, and two, like efficient, cheaper, smarter, all at the same price point. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Going back to what you mentioned earlier, just on the voice stuff as well, we really want to dig into that. We've covered a bunch of times now like this trend of like gooseneck mics in San Francisco. We're seeing developers, there's rumors that people are replacing their keyboard with gooseneck mics. It's just becoming a way in which
have those like
you can communicate.
Those sound like masks.
What the hell is that? The guy from...
It was like,
I saw that.
When you've got a line of engineers, you don't each model to hear someone else or whatever it is. So everyone's got these like noise deafening type things.
There's a guy from Strawberry that posted that, I think.
Which I think is actually happening, especially.
It looks mental, but like that area. Like, what does the future of voice look like in this regard? Is it going to be? We just had the Granola founder on the other day talking about the new Apple Watch partnership that they're doing, right? And that's a really cool thing. It's kind of implementing it now. It's coming, away from sat at a desk but on the go. Even further than the mobile devices, we've had conversations around specific with wearables, like there comes a point then where does it breach social norms? Will social norms have to be sort of like realigned slightly? Will there have to be some sort of open discussion where now you check if someone's recording you before you meet with them, which is like friction at first, but maybe we develop past that. But the voice realm is something incredibly interesting. How are you guys thinking about it? What do the next few months look like for you in that? Like, what are you excited about for the future?
Yeah, I think there's two things here, right? So personally, what I've seen is that voice is much more feature rich. In that sense, like, let's say that I want to ask Codex to do something or like ask chat to do something, I would give it much more context if I am yapping at it. Like if I'm just saying like do this, or like I will just let my mind do its own thing, yap for like 5 minutes, the output would be significantly better versus me typing do this and do that.
How long do you let it run before you kind of push,
Oh, I actually don't know. Like it really depends. Like sometimes
can it be as long as 5?
Oh, more than that as well.
Really?
Like sometimes I've just I would just turn it on and just like go on, and I'm like, okay, this is what I want. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's how I envision this to be, and so on. Like I was making this personal expenses tracker for myself, just because I have no control over my life. And I was just like, I want to like sort of like figure out like what is happening and where. And I just like, I said like, I had this vision in my mind, and I just kept on saying that on page 1, I want this, on like homepage, I want a view like this, I want the ability to log in, I want the ability to share this and that and so forth. And we just like went for, I kept on yapping for say like 7-8 minutes, 10 minutes. And that's it. And then it worked for maybe like half an hour, and I got like a very good result out.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
That's insane.
and yeah, just on that point, I feel like we're at the point wherein, you know, people are starting to realize that this is a very nice way for them to get their work done.
Yeah.
Right. And second, as we get like voice out, so not just like voice in, but as like voice out, like that it can.
Because it has the reasoning, it has this kind of, you know, it feels almost agentic when, as you mentioned, you know, they can work for half an hour by you know, understanding what's good, what's not, okay, what direction to take here, when to work on things and everything, right? So it's like integrating that all into, you know, how humans interact, voice. It's like the next stage. What happens when, you know, is voice at that point where you can, you know, just generally talk to it and it will just go off and go and build its thing while you're still talking?
Yeah, I think the UX is starting to be there. Like the overall experience is starting to.
And did you mention the usage numbers on voice yet? Or?
I actually honestly don't have them right now.
Because you launched last week.
Yeah, it just launched last week, but it's pretty generous for anyone who wants to use it. If you're on like a pro subscription, I think it's like almost equivalent to unlimited access. Just like let your brain yap. And but just generally, I feel like the user experience is starting to get there. Right? There are still some you know, frictions as you get to understand how to best harness its capabilities. But I think that's where, like, as we start to, you know, get this experience better, I feel like this is where we'll unlock a lot more people who maybe feel like a bit more intimidated by all that is happening behind the scenes, and then they can just have this nice bi-directional interface with the models and like have the model cook behind the scenes.
Do you guys feel like you're because obviously you have codecs, you have the model and the interface that developers can interact with. You know, if we go back to right at the beginning of you know, when you came on, you were talking about, you know, the fact that you wanted that ability to build, but for the people who don't want to, you know, understand what pull requests are or whatever it is, right? Do you guys feel like you're kind of building for two sides? And is there ever a time when you kind of want to bring everyone into one specific, you know, do we want developers to be talking like a ChatGPT work, or do we always want it to be separate where there is more of a technical you know, side of the model that people interact with, and then, you know, more of this kind of this general work thing that you can use natural language to talk about? I
think like where we're at right now, it's still like, you know, early phases of how the final product should look like, right? It's we're still iterating. We're getting a lot of feedback from the community on what they want, and you know, as we sort of learn from there, we would rapidly sort of like continue to evolve the product. From my personal point of view, ideally, like we should just have like one interface where like everyone can do everything, right? Without having to like worry as much about what's happening. And you know, this requires both the models to get you know, even better than where they are, as well as you know, the product to sort of like scratch better sort of like experience as well. And so,
because it feels like they're kind of like there's different, almost like verticals, and then eventually, you know, you kind of maybe got like design, and then, you know, the big model makers are kind of moving into all of these different verticals and categories, and so the product and the model is kind of the same, but the way you interact with it is different, and like you know, for a different task, you go and use this kind of you know, interface. For something else, you go and use, you know, the chat app or whatever it is, right? Like.
And I think it's like, if you look at it, like for example, before you would have like a plugin to interact with you know, Excel sheets or you know, PowerPoint.
Exactly.
So on. now this is like the models are inherently being trained to learn to deal
just
with it.
know what.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just know it, right? So like every now and then, like you just like ask the model to do a thing X, and it can just do that inherently without having to give it the support system to do that, right? And I feel like that is true for a lot of things. If you just go back, before you would have this like really involved Figma MCP and like a Figma set of skills and so on. And now like models have become so much better that now even if you want to not use like Figma MCP or Figma skills, the model can just use computer use to interact with Figma on the UI itself, right?
Yeah.
And there's like all of these things which the model can now do, but these were just not possible like a couple of weeks back.
No, I hear that. I appreciate we're running slightly over. I do have one final question. I know we didn't get to it. Just how are the enterprises, these enterprise companies, your enterprise customers, how are they responding to all the news, all the advancements? I assume you probably have some conversations with the community of people who work there. You're getting feedback from them. But yeah, what's the response been like? Anything you can share? Numbers, growth, anything like this?
Sure. First of all, I speak to our enterprises, startups, like almost day in and day out, as well as our developers, right? There's bunch of stuff that is, especially with the launch of 5.6 Soul, like one of the things that people appreciated the most is that we launched Soul at the same price point as 5.5, which means that literally without spending more money, you're getting higher, almost IQ points on the model. And it's like, one step, you just change the model name and you just get like better intelligence at the same price point, right? Similarly, one of the things that they're really enjoying is Terra and Luna, right? It's like they have these two other levers to do the same task that they want to do, but now cheaper, right? And that's something which we're seeing like a lot of adoption from overall. I don't have like exact numbers right now of like how the adoption has been, but as far as I remember and know, like 5.6 like broke all our previous records of 5.5, which broke all of our previous records of 5.4, and so on. Like it's like a cycle, But yeah, it's they're loving it, and I'm quite excited to like work with them with our team of cracked engineers and like bring them in and have them sort of harness the capabilities of these models, not just to sort of like token max, but to really like value max, right? Like get the most out of whatever input they're giving it without having to spend as much.
Yeah, makes sense. We are 6 minutes over. We have our next guest calling in 4 minutes. BB, so good to see you again.
Thank you. Awesome. Cheers. Cheers, man.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's VB from OpenAI coming into the European Technology Studio for the first time ever. Our third guest ever in the studio. You love to see it. Let's get a cha-ching going whilst we're there. Just show our new light system over to VB. We've got Ian Rogers joining us next. Ian Rogers is coming in from Ledger. It's his second time on the show.
Absolute gangster. They just released their agent stack, which is going to be interesting to talk about. I think one of the most fascinating conversations we've had on the show before was Ian Rogers. So really enjoyed that. Before we do that, the infrastructure for the on-chain world. Base is built to empower builders, creators, and people everywhere to build apps, grow businesses, create what they love, and earn on-chain. Go to base.org.
Whilst we're here as well, I want to tell you guys about BVNK.
Do it.
Accelerating the global money movement. BVNK provides enterprise-grade stablecoin infrastructure for global businesses, enabling fast, compliant payments and digital asset solutions worldwide. Go to bvnk.com to get a hold of all the stuff that they're doing over there.
We have 2 minutes. Are we in the? Oh, we could review Alex's logo. He did make one.
Oh, we did make one.
Let's review it.
Okay, let's
be nice and review it.
I kind of like it. That was pretty good. I thought that was okay.
He's not here.
I don't know what that is.
I don't really understand. It looks like he's made it on.
I think it's supposed to be a seat and a table, maybe. I can't put my finger on it.
I thought were the instructions to include a chair or not include a chair?
Did we say include a chair? Did we say include a chair?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's excellent in that regard.
Well, no,
I love it.
It doesn't look like a chair. Where's the chair?
The chair's on the left, I think, no?
How is that a chair?
It kind of looks a bit like a chair. It's
No,
like a chair.
I
I mean,
congrats to
Max wins though. Yeah,
Congrats to
Max
Max.
wins.
I'll tell you who might be able to help you define if it's a chair or not. Is we've got Ian with us now.
Oh, amazing.
Yes,
Ian.
let's go.
We can bring Ian into the studio now. We've got Ian Rogers coming in for the second time onto the ETN show. Ian, here he is. How are we, sir?
Next to the track, are you going to give us a nice rendition on drums?
Yeah, I love the
Yeah,
backdrop.
if you want, I can play along.
It's so sick.
Kind of like, is it a chair or is it not a chair?
We were trying to work this
And
out,
who
man.
is Alex? Is Alex an agent?
Alex is our new chief of staff.
We took him.
okay.
We got him from Bloomberg.
Well, he's not anymore because he just we tasked him to create a logo because KPMG are tasking their new interns and their new grads to create logos with all these funky parameters that they've got to abide by. So we got intern Max and chief of staff Alex to go and do their own, and the intern won, so he's been promoted to chief of staff.
Yep.
Perfect.
That's what's going on our
When
side.
you said that and then you showed the logo, I was like, oh, Alex must be an agent.
It did look pretty AI. He definitely AI.
I thought you just asked your OpenClaw to make a new logo, and like it got really subtle with the chair.
So good. Ian, speaking of agents, you guys have some news. It's so good to see you again. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming back onto the show.
Thanks for having me.
Give us the lowdown, man. What do you guys got to share? It's some pretty cool stuff you guys are doing over there at Ledger.
Yeah, so we released the second version of our agent stack, which is for Ledger. So Ian Rogers with Ledger. Ledger's been around for 12 years. We do security related to many things. We have a piece of hardware that keeps you safe. That's broadly what we do, and that's been in the world of crypto for 12 years, and increasingly keeping people safe in what they're doing with agents. We have these new probabilistic coworkers, and we want them to think and we want them to suggest. But when it comes to actually doing something, we want to be sure that what they do is aligned with what we've asked them to do.
Yeah.
Maybe make a logo with a chair in it, for example. And what we've done is we now have our V2 of that stack of tools that we have, and we just keep going. So right now, the great thing about what you could do is you can point your agent at developer.ledger.com and say, I hear that there's a command line interface for my ledger. I put a little video of me just telling my agent, swap some USDC for some SpaceX. And it did it.
Nice.
Now the nice thing about that is I don't have to worry is it gonna go rogue and do something I don't want it to do here, because before anything happens on chain, it has to happen on my ledger. So at the end of the day, it appears on on the screen of my ledger. And it says, okay, you're about to swap some USDC for some SpaceX.
Yeah.
And are you sure you want to do that? And I go, yep, that's actually exactly what I asked you to do. And I hit okay. At the same time, I have seen it make mistakes in this where, one time, it was trying to test something and it wanted to swap $42 worth of ETH for USDC. And I was like, well, that's funny. Let me hit okay. But as soon as I did, it freaked out because it was like, oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. I went ahead and approved it because I'm like, it's $42 of ETH for USDC. I think this is fine. But I was also curious, what will it do, knowing that it was making a mistake? And it's pretty sobering to kind of watch. But that's a simple thing. These things are probabilistic by nature. That's a feature, not a bug. We have code that can see around corners. That's just insane. The trick then is using it for, what it's good at and keeping a deterministic step in there before, something happens that might be irreversible.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on the deterministic kind of step, right? Where do you see that going? Do you feel like it's always going to be there? Do you feel like consumers and whoever else is kind of using this, whether that's businesses as well, will there always have to be that kind of deterministic step within it, or do you think we'll get to a point where we trust agents to just go and run this kind of autonomously? I'm interested as a kind of general.
I think it's the right division of labor to have that deterministic step. Because if you put that governance into the model, first of all, you're spending tokens on things that you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And you now are becoming reliant on the model that has your governance.
Yeah.
So I actually think that just, we always say that the only real security is by design. And the right design is actually simply to separate that, to have AI do what it is good at,
Yeah.
which is thinking and suggesting. But when it comes time to act, that act needs to be the result of either a policy that was set by a person or an actual approval from a person. And when you have that, what you get is a real audit record, like you get a real action transcript that you can rely on, which you really need, right? Yeah, that's like not having that. If you have agent identity, say, but you don't have transaction time security, that's like having a credit card without 3D secure, right? Like, oh well, this is the credit card that was used for the transaction, but you don't have proof that the human authorized that transaction. So I think you always want that proof. And that proof doesn't need to be somebody signing a transaction on their ledger. That can simply be the result of a policy.
Yeah.
So in other words, like my agent can always act, and that action is always the result of either a policy that was set by a human, and those could be quite broad as you need them to be, or it was the result of an explicit approval by a human. And if you have those two things, well, now you've got an audit log, and you can always see, what was done and why it was allowed to happen. So I think that division of labor is great. Also, keeping it out of the LLM is great because it also, what we know that what we're going to want is to use, a variety of LLMs depending on what it is we're doing.
Yeah.
So if it's the case that like, and you build all of your governance into Claude, well, now what happens if you want to switch to Kimi? Like you've taken away your optionality. I just don't think architecturally it's right to do that.
Yeah, I want to touch on that a little bit later, but one thing I was super interested about was where do you feel like at the moment you guys draw the line in terms of when to know when human intervention is correct? Like, is it at the transaction level? Are there different parameters, different tasks that allow for an agent to go and run autonomously a little bit more? Obviously, we're seeing an increase just naturally, with agentic AI, kind of like ransomware, all of that kind of stuff. Like, where do you know when to let an agent run and to not, and have some human intervention?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would say is that architecturally, the agent shouldn't have the secrets.
Okay.
Right? The agent should always have to ask for the secrets.
Yeah.
And so that could be, that's certainly the case if you're doing financial transactions, right? That the agent, for example, if you're using the Ledger Wallet CLIs, the agent is not going to be able to make a transaction at all. It's going to suggest a transaction that the human then approves on their device. And then that could easily also be other things. It could be access to your email. It could be access to, other resources, digital resources from an IT perspective. I think that anytime that there's an action that it's taken, you want that to be the result of either a policy or or an explicit approval. And I know I'm not advocating a world where you're just, approving, all the time. We're already in a bit of, approval hell. I think having, strong policies, strong and secure policies, and a strong and secure policy engine is a much better approach. And the one that we'll see certainly in enterprise contexts going forward.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I'm just, you touched on it just earlier, but you mentioned Kimi. In the headlines right now, a lot of the conversations we're having recently is this open source, not really verse the prop models. Like now we're seeing arguments for like why enterprise companies might want to lean on open source because it just makes sense economically. But for some really key tasks, maybe it does make sense to use traditional frontier models. Any takes on this generally as a discussion right now? Are you guys at Ledger really excited for what the open source community are doing and the future of that, or is it we always want the sort of the most up to date model? We want the frontier stuff all the time. It seems to be a mixed bag generally across the space right now. But would be curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think the Ledger lens on this is, Ledger has Ledger Donjon, which are the best, white hat hackers on the planet, and we've been using our tools. If you look through the Donjon's X feed, you'll find many things that they've done this year with their tools where they've been doing what many people have been doing, which is, going out and looking at code and finding and fixing exploits before, before the bad guys do.
Yeah.
I think the challenge is that this is a race, right? Like there's you've got the, kind of the hackers with the tools versus, the people that are out there trying to plug holes as quickly as they can. And if you look at exploits, on cell phones or exploits on, web browsers, just, past 12 months versus previous 12 months, you see a massive acceleration in the discovery of those exploits because, people both, white hat and black hat are using, AI tools to discover those things. So what I would say is that, the white hat folks need tools that are at least as good as the black hat folks. And there is a global game theory going on right now with that. And I think it's already a very tough fight. I think it will be very tough the way that we have technology integrated into our lives and the way that and what we are relying on. Very difficult to secure this perimeter. And we need the best tools that we have access to. Now, again, exactly how does that play out in the interplay between the frontier models and the open source models? I think we're still early innings and people are still defining their positions. We are open source advocates, across the board and generally speaking, and we definitely, we feel it because even if I look at things like Anthropic's project Glasswing, we are a French company. And so we have not been in Glasswing, and we could have been extremely helpful had we been allowed to be there. So I think that this is, about getting it right, and making sure that, we spend more energy on the identification and fixing side than can be spent on the on the attack side. And that's easier said than done. That is far from a foregone conclusion. And if you look at the things that our CTO Charles Guillemet has been saying on X all year, he's predicted a lot of what's going on, a couple of months in advance on a regular basis.
Super interesting.
It's it seems to be like how can we also had like that document that was signed recently, the Pacing the Frontier. Like, how can we and that seemed to be more like let's work out a plan to understand how we would put the brakes on if we needed to, as opposed to like, let's shut down everything and like let's stop this development. But that point you mentioned about how, like, you guys are in France, like could have really helped, like you guys were sort of born out of this world, right? This like this area like could have been super valuable to the cause, but purely because it was a non-domestic ally that wasn't allowed.
Right. I think it's a great example of, not having Ledger in Project Glasswing is a great example of a very bad decision that where one, we could have been. And by the way, like we know our ways around the guardrails. We have our own tools, so it's not like we weren't doing the work because we weren't in their club, right? That's not true either. At the same time, I think that, again, we do want, kind of a united force for good here. And I think that the game theory is the salient point. I mean, Elon, talked quite a bit about, he talked well about this in the Economist, interview. If you're talking about China, well, China is doing quite well considering they have a lack of compute, and so, if they had that compute, how might they be doing, and what might, how might that change the game? So, what do you actually get? What actually does a slowdown bring? I think that we need to think pretty hard about that. And I think that, mostly we need to make sure that we're spending more energy identifying and fixing than is possible to spend, exploiting. And that will take a very concerted global effort. I also think global is the key here. I think that, to me, there are many things happening today that make a lot more sense if you apply the network state lens that Balaji introduced a couple of years ago. And everything that we're talking about right now is, government regulation from, really from one government, right? Because it's only the US and China that could kind of change the course of things here. And what we're talking about is the US, when really we need a global effort. And, and I think what determines the global effort? Well, it's market forces. I think, more than it's kind of, regulatory capture. So, I think, this is the paper you're referencing was from, the past 48 hours. So, this is really of the moment.
Yeah.
And I am thankful that, some of the, sharpest minds in the world are debating this right now, because it is super important.
Yeah, and it's great that it's it's out in the open as well. I think it's good that it's a global kind of discourse, out in the open that the public can talk about as well. I'm sure there's things going on behind closed doors, but yeah, look, super fascinating. Thanks for taking the time. We have run out of time, but we appreciate it. Congrats on the.
Before you go, I have to add, the backdrop is so cool. Like, they're two like old school crypto punks, it looks like, and then like this drumming sound.
Yeah, this is where I get things done.
This is what the chief human officer does.
Everybody has their own keys to productivity, and I'm sharing mine.
I love it. Just give us quickly, what's the story of the vans on the speaker there?
I don't know if you know anything about skateboarding, but
oh my God, there's like a
skateboarder Christian gave me this once upon a time.
No way.
That's so cool. I didn't realize it was that big.
It's a gift from legend Christian Hosoi. So,
wow.
Dude, so cool. That was like
shout out Christian.
It looks super small on our angle. So that was like some kind of crazy.
I should have said like, the background's fake. I can't actually. I really brought it to life. No, thank you so much for having me on. And if anybody wants to play with what you're doing, you can literally just tell your agent, I hear there's a CLI for Ledger. Go to developer.ledger.com, figure out how to use it, walk me through using it, and then try some stuff with it. Give it a try and tell us what you think. Thank you so much.
Legend. Ian, so good to chat again. See you later, man.
Of course. See you guys soon.
We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye. Ian Rogers, everybody.
We have our next guest on, but before we do that, Hex, the AI analytics platform where trust meets insight, Hex helps teams of all sizes by giving teammates the ability to get insights from their data. Go to hex.tech. Few claps.
We got Robbie, the new CRO of Victor, announced literally just yesterday, coming into the studio to chat to us about the new role and how Victor are getting in. We can welcome Robbie into the studio right now.
Here we go. Oh, what a backdrop. Let's go.
That is a cool looking backdrop. Look at that on the big screen as well. Robbie, how's it going? Welcome to the show.
Really great. So thrilled to be here, guys. And hello from sunny Warsaw. It's pretty amazing here today. And
looking great.
Warsaw looks
great.
Beautiful. Maybe we should move there.
Yeah, that looks like a really, really awesome place to be. Robbie, welcome to the show. New CRO, amazing news. Congratulations. Just saw it hit the timeline yesterday. Do you want to fill us in on what's going on?
Yeah, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. So I've actually been working with Victor for about a month or so, but was just bedding in before we made the announcement. Nice. I just came off a year's sabbatical. I had about 12 years of a couple of scale-up runs across Dropbox and Asana and Notion. Yeah. And so I took a year out with my family, which was a lot of fun. I did a bunch of advisory and consultancy during that time with a few VC firms here in EMEA. A good number of my peers had joined different frontier AI companies as well. So I got a good vantage point of what was happening within the market. Myself and a couple of buddies formed a few theories about where we think AI is going to get traction in the market going forward, and we were seeing where there was really good imprint versus where things were falling off. We always bet pretty heavily that the harness was going to be the real key to AI products going quite well. Yeah. AI meeting people where they work. Through a VC introduction, I met Fred, who's the founder here in Victor, and we just hit it off. So the traction's been undeniable. The customer love is really there. It's a great pattern that I've seen across other organizations that I worked with in the past. And the opportunity to build go-to-market from scratch in an AI native company where the playbook just really hasn't been defined was something I really couldn't resist. And the growth so far has been incredible. We're really pumped.
Awesome. I mean,
I have so many questions.
First question on the bat is broadly speaking, you spend a year out, you go and figure out, you come up with a thesis of where generally you believe AI is moving in the workforce and outside of it as well. Why join a company like Victor? What does what are they doing that is super exciting? I assume you could have joined a bunch of them. You maybe had offers elsewhere as well. But why Victor? Why Frid? Why back a company like Victor?
Yeah, so the traction has been undeniable. I think when I first started interacting with the gang here in Victor, the ARR was 15 million already, and that was only 10 weeks post product launch, and that was about 2,000 organizations at that stage. And we got a dashboard here beside us, and the ARR is already up to 28 million as of today. So the traction is really kind of taking hold, which we're really, really excited about. The category is really real. It's not just hype. Victor isn't a chat assistant that answers questions. It's an agent that really does the work. It builds your dashboards, it ships your code, it runs your projects, it completes the recurring task. As I mentioned, there's so much great AI that's out there in the market at the moment. There's large companies, medium companies, small companies that are wrestling with various different AI products. I think the bet that we're making here in Victor is that AI really takes hold where ordinary workers do their work. Victor is a Slack and a Microsoft Teams native application. Yeah. So the effect of that harness living there is that this product effectively becomes your AI coworker. Your most dependable, most incredible, most awesome coworker. If you need them to be the CMO, if you need them to be the CFO, if you need to be them, your ace product marketer or your ace performance marketer, Victor does the incredible work here that makes you look amazing. And so the effect is that it's working quite well in large companies, it's working really well in smaller companies. Part of the effect is we're seeing that people aren't necessarily using tools budget for Victor. They're kind of using payroll budget by filling the gaps they have in their teams with this coworker that lives in your Slack or in your Microsoft Teams.
Yeah. Do you feel like that shift is going to happen with more applications like this, where and more, when AI gets further and further agentic, the budget comes from, as you said, the kind of workforce budget, not the application budget, the tool budget, whatever it is. Does that make it from a go-to-market perspective? How does that change the way that you're thinking? When you are working with your customers?
It's really hard to see. And as I mentioned, AI has been out in the market now for a few years. And it usually takes that time for new game-changing technology to settle in, for it to kind of prove its value in different ways. Yeah. I'm a 15-year vet in tech, and I'm back to school having joined Victor. There's a whole new way of working. Our earliest career people in the team are shipping stuff that I never would have been able to dream that I'd be able to ship at their age. We're moving 10x faster than I've ever moved in my career, and that's really, really exhilarating. So, we're growing faster than what I've seen before in other companies. We operate in a very streamlined way. Yeah. And I think this is the effect that we're seeing with our customers as well. It almost feels like you're riding a bike in top gear. It's like a little scary, but you're moving so fast that it's really enjoyable. That's the kind of effect that I've seen a product like ours operate. So really It's a lot of learning. Companies are really taking root with really good AI products. There's some really good value you're seeing out there. There's some projects that really don't work out, and workflows that will be fundamentally changed forever. Yeah. And we're really enjoying learning, Our users and customers, are they making more money by leveraging a tool like Victor? Are they saving a ton of money by leveraging a tool like Victor? Are they doing things? Are they able to ship faster? Are they able to change, workflows that were painful before? Honestly, we're seeing a lot of those things happening across the board, and we're keen to play it back to the market once we've grown our team a little bit more and we've more hands at the pump.
I can
interestingly, even though our product is an AI coworker, my first job is to hire humans. We're still only a team of 30.
That's good.
We're headquartered here in Warsaw, but we're going to be growing teams in Dublin, and we're going to be growing a team in New York in the not too distant future. So excited to hire humans to help us provide AI coworker products around the world.
We love to hear humans getting hired. That's huge news. But also AI is still doing most of the work, and that is also huge news. I'm curious with the playbook. Like, everyone's trying to work out in this for these hyper growth AI companies. What is the B2B playbook? Typically we've seen people focus on consumer first, then maybe move into a more enterprise motion on the B2B route. We've even got the founder of VEED.io, Sabba, coming over here later to tell us that the old SaaS playbook might not be as relevant as it was, a few years ago. Typically, we'd expect enterprise companies, maybe you've got a number of SDRs and BDRs, BDR, 3 or 4 BDR managers, they're reporting into a regional director, then into a VP of sales, and as you know, going through those roles yourself. How is that different to today? Is that the same thing we can layer on for a company like Victor, or does it have to be completely reworked?
So it's absolutely fascinating because I can always consider myself like a student of go-to-market science. I probably be like my formative years were in the predictable revenue era, and then the from impossible to inevitable. Any other go-to-market nerds out there know those books deeply. They effectively, wrote the structure that every tech company has built their go-to-market against. It was very interesting in Dropbox when I joined there. We had to think about the market very differently. Our distribution was exponential. We had consumers that were becoming business users. So that was where kind of the term product-led growth was kind of coined, and we were proud to be an organization that did something a little bit differently and changed the motion there. My most recent stint in Notion was a lot more oriented around the shift in how people consume technology, which is very community oriented. So we spent very little money on things like classic marketing tactics like performance marketing. We invested a lot in generating an amazing community and letting word of mouth growth spread your product. The canvas and the playbook is not written yet for AI products, and anyone that says it is probably not being true there. I think there will be elements of the former playbook that will be repeated. You'll see that in the much larger LLM companies and the Anthropics and the OpenAIs. They're reverting to classic form with very classic team structures and playbooks. But we're learning on the fly here, and that's what kind of gets me excited. I love building, and in each of the companies I've been with, we've had to take a very different twist on the classic playbook, and I think that's what we're going to see here within Victor as well.
Yeah, really cool. You mentioned some incredible trajectories on just like ARR numbers as well. Anything else like metric-wise that you're just like, this is insane, I've never seen anything like this? Like, it sounds like, when we spoke to Fried last time in Monaco, he was telling us about some of the massive savings the customers are making. He was telling us about the insane ARR growth. It sounds like it's continuing. Anything else you can share on just like the trajectory of this company? Obviously, they'd raised like a really great round a few months back, but anything since then, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, we've been really lucky so far. Clearly, we've got a product which is meeting user needs and customer needs, and we hear a lot of joy from our customers on a daily basis. We kind of hear everything from the amount of money that they're saving, new revenue that they're driving, or processes that they're able to move a lot faster with. And we just hear from a lot of happy users, which is pretty awesome. Long may that continue. We're still a very early shop. We're still a young company. We're figuring out things about our own workflows, about how we record revenue as well, which means that we either are making a little bit more than we thought, or we're losing a little bit more than we thought as well. There's tons to do here. But I look forward to checking back in hopefully in a couple of months and giving you an update on what new figures we're seeing, and we hope we can continue to pour fuel on the fire here.
Let's go. Really cool. Just before we let you go, I wanted to ask your first day at Victor. What did you do? I wanted to know because the company is moving super quickly. We know Fred. He's a cool guy. I'm sure he kind of just gave a bunch of stuff to you and said, "Hey, this is where we're at. Go and see what you can do." You've obviously got a lot of experience as well. What was the first day like?
It was pretty intense, but in a unique way. So like every early stage organization, we don't have a big people ops team. We don't have someone who specializes in onboarding everybody. Yeah. But the tool is so intuitive and useful yourself. You're kind of given Victor to play with immediately. But Victor is plugged into every different data point in every different system and tool within our business. So you can ask Victor any question about the company. You can ask it to build anything and it'll give you the answer back. So I first of all asked Victor to build me an onboarding playbook for my first 30, 60, 90 days. It drew up a beautiful Notion doc, which I thought was amazing. And it told me all the things as the new CRO that I need to pay attention to pretty quickly, which I thought was fascinating. It was like cool. Having the power of a 20-person business operations or rev operations team give you like the most detailed onboarding playbook you've ever had. When I said a 30, 60, 90-day plan, I think, Fred looked at me like I was crazy and said, let's turn that to like 3 days, 6 days, 9 days plan, because we ship really, really fast.
Classic
here. So,
Fred.
That's the warp speed that we're working at here. And it's definitely uncomfortable, but I used to work in Google in my early days, and Larry Page would talk about being uncomfortably excited about different things. So I feel like I'm uncomfortably excied about what's going on here in Victor at the moment. Really
cool. We've just got 2 minutes left. Final question is, what is a CRO's job a company like Victor's? I imagine it's different to a senior position at Dropbox or Notion, for example. Like something that's scaling that fast. How is your job? Yeah, I'm sure your job's probably changing day to day quite a lot. But what does the CRO role look like today for a company like this? I guess it's probably changed since a few years ago as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lofty title, but I don't really think titles mean that much in the very early stage. I think the first 100 hires within a company usually define the culture, and the first 50 people are the ones that are figuring out what are the core elements of what your business model are going to be. Should we be heavy on net new logo acquisition? Should we be going deeper into our existing users to help them go wall to wall within the business? What sort of features are being suggested by our customers that we should be inculcating and building within the product really fast? It feels like everybody in the early stage is either a builder or they're a seller, and no idea is off the table. No one's too junior, no one's too senior. Everybody's kind of on an equal footing. Obviously, as time goes by, you need to have a little bit of order and structure. So you want to ensure that your marketing plan complements, what your product actually is, and complements the type of sales teams or support teams that you're building into the future. And that's where I have a little bit of wisdom, more scars and learnings from what I've seen before, like everybody else. But it's an open playbook that we're building at the moment. But at the moment, everybody's like an entrepreneur. I see some wild ideas coming from someone who was here 2 days in and is super early in their career. I've also seen, someone who's a bit more wizened, who's been, around the block a few times, give a very clear warning that we definitely shouldn't do the thing that we're about to head into as well. So it's been really fun to play all these ideas. Frid operates at a mile a minute. He's got tons of great ideas, and I think I'm hopeful to help him channel them into building what I hope will be a really generational and successful business.
Let's go.
Cool.
Well, congrats
Robbie,
on the new role. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in a few months, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Nice one,
Good
Robbie.
stuff.
Cheers.
See you soon. Before our next guest on, 11 Labs, AI that communicates at a human level across every channel and modality. Deploy conversational agents across every customer interaction. Create on-brand content at scale. Go to 11labs.io. We are back. Next on the show, we have Max Buchan. Do you want to join us? Come and join us.
We got Max in the studio.
There he is.
Max has come bearing gifts, not only a Series A, but a lovely. What is this?
Look at this, mate. This is Valarian by Barber. This is that, next level.
Valarian, not Valarian steel, Valarian barber.
Dude, get these out, man. They're really sick. I mean, it's got a tiny bit warm for us all to be in Barbers.
Yeah, a little bit.
so hot.
It's warm in
I
here.
wanted to wear mine in. And I was like, it's gonna be painful.
It's too far. It's too far. That's so
These are
good.
made with love, man.
Oh wow!
Surely this is like the best company merch you have. Let's get that. We go to my camera.
Oh,
Yeah,
look
dude.
at the sleeve as
Yeah,
well.
We do our best.
Dude, this is incredible.
Hold that up again for us, Luke.
Because you mentioned.
Oh, mate, thanks for the thought.
Close up as well. Here is your mic, sir.
Thank you. Hey,
we'll ask
guys.
you to speak into it as often as you can.
Dude, that's sick. I'm not going to put it on now.
Yeah, it's warm, dude. I hope
That's so
it
kind
fits
of
though.
you.
No,
That's
my
so
pleasure.
kind, man.
My pleasure.
Absolutely stunning. Luke loves
The thing
these
is,
as well.
I'm a firm believer in you got to like have good merch because otherwise, you know what I mean. If you could like the rubber stuff, no one ever wears. And
Yeah.
like, what's the point in doing it?
You got to make
man.
something someone wants to wear.
I'm going to be. I'm going to be talking about Valarian.
All
like,
over that
24/7.
Valarian team on the side as
Yeah,
well.
we're doing
I'm
we're
so
doing a little
gassed.
country shoot anyway in November, dude. So you got to
We gotta
bring
come.
the barbers.
We gotta
Let's
come.
go.
Oh man, by the way, this is
sick.
sick. By the way, guys.
The new studio,
Talk
welcome.
about a level up, huh?
Cool, right?
Yeah,
You also
yeah.
both look really handsome whenever you air now.
What, did we not
Yeah.
before?
Yeah, no. It was the bad lighting before. Man.
Secret AI feature that
gonna
like,
try and
edits
get
our
that in
face
there.
live. Oh, that's pretty sick. I feel like I'm part of like an Air Force crew or something.
Yeah. I'm excited for winter now. Anyway, dude, look, give us the update. Congrats on the raise. Give us everything.
Yeah, it's been extremely intensive. We sorry, mate.
I
Sorry.
know.
I'm not
You're
used to being in this
No,
studio.
it's weird.
Yeah,
It's
weird.
tough.
It's been extremely intensive. I mean, last time we chatted, we were obviously extremely focused on the more kind of gov market. So that was kind of everything from defense to more public sector in general. But the demand signal we had from the enterprise buyer was quite extreme. So especially this movement away from frontier intelligence, capturing all kind of intellectual property to I want to own my entire AI infrastructure, open weights, deploying that through a harness. And so because we had, frankly, as you guys know, like our product was all about how do you run super sensitive government workloads, against models essentially. But now taking that and running in enterprises, I mean, it was just absolutely ripping. I mean, like, we've done like 5 deployments in the last 3 days, I think. Like major deployments as well, bro. So like, it's heavy. It's really heavy. But anyway, but good.
Things are heating up. We love to see it. What's this this push potentially? I mean, there's obviously loads of demand for it. Discourse right now seems to be, it has been trending towards security a lot over the last 12 months, probably. Probably makes more sense. We're seeing agents go rogue
totally.
with the Hugging Face thing the other day in OpenAI. What are you hearing from these customers that are saying, like, hey, we need
sure,
help?
man. And there's a lot of talk about like VPCs and running watchtowers and stuff. And I think a lot of people think about this like securing it from the application downward. We made a quite contrarian bet, which was how do we harden the Kubernetes layer upward and start to build? Like we come at it from we call them enclaves.
Yeah.
And obviously you're familiar with like hardware enclaves on a chip, but we've kind of like applied those same parameters in the kind of virtualized sense.
Right.
And this idea of kind of you can run an enclave in your HR department, your legal department, your whatever it is, your executives, etc. And you can run per enclaves and then run agents within them. And then it segments what those agents touches.
Right.
And it compartmentalizes and isolates essentially from the wider arena of your business, especially if you're operating on a flat network. And I think what I underappreciated at the time is our earliest customers were some of the most sensitive customers, certainly on this continent, and the legitimization that gave us to going into the enterprise. And I think, as you guys know, like this was, we did this deal with NEA, and it was their first dual purpose investment in Europe.
Yeah.
And I think it was that we were managing to run these 2 parallel GTMs in a way that was making sense.
And usually, like a normal one would be, you go to the enterprise, then you go like you've almost like I don't want to say you've gone like a level like easier. But like it kind of feels.
We
that,
played
right?
on
like,
hard mode for like a really long time, and now we're on. Like,
I mean, obviously it's hard. It's a completely different thing, but like it feels. Obviously, you need trust and everything, but running what you were running before, you need way more trust. I mean, there's so much more on the line.
Man. And I actually think like the thing for me about this round, like that was the coolest, was actually Nikesh putting in a massive personal check. Like there's not many people I respect in security more than Nikesh Arora, and him putting such a meaningful personal ticket in meant a lot to us because obviously he sees the whole market all the time.
Yeah.
And I think for me at least, like you're absolutely right. We did the really unsexy way of building this business. To be clear, like it took me like 4.5 years to build it. Like I can't remember the rock star that said it took me like 5 years to have an overnight success, but that's kind of what, like, it was unbelievably unsexy. Like we were building like, hardened Kubernetes parameters for a long time. It was unbelievably painful. We're doing it with government customers. I was like, this couldn't have been more like the antithesis to like back in the day when everyone was building a SaaS business, right? It just happened. So now we've done it, and now we're moving into like, we're landing like, banks, hedge funds, airlines, pharmaceutical companies, life sciences companies, like that is so much easier because we put in the groundwork.
Let's go. That like winning of a government contract like that in itself must be incredibly difficult, as you say. Like how does that even start happening? Like how do you even get your first one? Because I assume once you get your first, things like they're cleared in a way. What was that first one like? How did you get your first one?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And it's also really difficult because like the buyer is different to the user, is different to the procurement engine that goes through it. And to be honest, like the UK was not the first for us. I mean, we did early testing, as you guys know, in the US. Yeah. We had done it all, all around the place in various, like for various reasons.
Yeah.
But you're right, it is a snowball. Because also you have the added pressure here of like accreditation and assurance, and also to different, especially when we're early on in our journey of that, but like one of the specific reasons to run enclave type technology is to run stuff at different classifications. So how do we think about segmenting, official sensitive to secret, those kind of parameters? And you're right, that comes with a huge regulatory burden. And like props to, so Johnny, who runs our defense business, is incredible, who, this is public, but joined us from UK Defense Intelligence, but he is just a phenomenal operator, and he kind of has ran with that. And then the most exciting thing is, you guys might remember, but I came out of a business called CoinShares before, which became a unicorn and went public. The founder of that business, who
you were like one of the fourth?
I was technically the first full-time employee who wasn't an exec / co-founder. So I was like the first one outside of the co-founders. And so he retired to Palm Beach, like every person does after an IPO, apparently. But he just came out of retirement. So he just moved back to London.
No way.
Yeah, to be our chief revenue officer.
No way.
Yeah,
Congrats.
So, thanks, man. So
Boom.
Yeah, I like that, dude. I like that a lot. But so he's our chief revenue officer now and oversees enterprise and defense. And like, he's had 3 major exits before. Like, CoinShares was the biggest.
Wow.
But he said to me this morning, he's like, dude, this is my 4th business that I've done, and I've never seen like conversion rates this strong on the sales side.
Okay, that's super exciting. Okay, so obviously just raised 50 mil Series B. Like, what does that mean in terms of the business is ripping on the revenue side. Where does that money go when like how do you increase growth when you're saying conversion is so good? Like what you know?
Yeah, dude, I had this stat because obviously this was Series A. We completed the final seed the top up last year when I first came on here, and it's for us right now as well. Like the margin is very, very high per deployment, to be clear. And one of the reasons, and one of the things we're battling right now, to be totally honest with you, as we're just hanging out in this extremely hot room, is like. My whole view on the world was I want to be completely agnostic to the compute layer. So everything from hyperscalers, AWS, GCP, whatever, but also the neoclouds, Nebius, even up to Cerebras, who are a phenomenal company. I want to be completely agnostic on where our customers can essentially release their compute from, and then be agnostic in terms of like what's running on top. So open weights from NVIDIA, Mistral, but we're also now you can actually run your Anthropic harness and your OpenAI harness in Acro itself, which is really cool. So you can start to like freely interchange. But that level of agnosticism has meant that we don't obviously have to pay for stuff like compute ourselves. Yeah. Now we're thinking though, because compute is becoming a bit of a throttle for our customers, we are starting to think how we get kind of more entrenched in that space. Okay. So honestly, like my 2 jobs at the moment are working out hiring. Like all I do all day is hire because we are just really exploding the team right now, like really genuinely exploding the team. So any of your viewers, please come to me if you're looking for a sick company, but also working out compute bandwidth because our customers are some of the biggest banks in the world, some of the obviously meaningful governments and stuff. So that's also a challenge.
Okay, yeah.
When you hire like CEO of a defense company, is how like we've previously like kind of branded Valarian, but now it sounds like you're edging into like more secure. Similar levels of secureness, but like maybe other enterprise areas as well. How do you hire? Like, how do you run a hiring process? Like, what do you look for in someone?
Yeah, it's a great question. We will have a couple of like very big name hires actually coming in September, especially on the government side, because also like we were always a dual purpose company, to be clear, but like our enterprise business was much smaller, right? So the biggest revenue traction we had was around the government, but that has very quickly gone to 50-50. And I think the reason there's parity there is just because like obviously technology works in some quite important places, and then it legitimizes you moving laterally, right? And also the trust piece, because you're right. It's like when I'm speaking to a CISO of a bank, they know the types of things
they already
we've done.
know, yeah.
And also a lot of the friends are in the like serving either they're like part-time whatever advising, so they tend to have heard of us as well and some of the stuff we've done, which is really sick. But yeah, man. And then we think about like bifurcating in the sense of like within our GTM. We obviously kind of do carve out the government business because also you have to do stuff like clearances. That is not stuff you have to worry about in a normal business, right? Yeah. We have to think about how many SC clearances have we got in business, how many DV clearances have we got in business, and think, and then you have to segment about, and it's an operational, obviously, nightmare. And luckily, we have an incredible COO I've told you guys about before. Yeah. And then thinking about how you compartmentalize access even within our own business. So actually constructing the business around the same principles that we sell to is interesting.
Yeah. I wanted to touch because it's a very unique business in the fact that it's been pretty multinational pretty quickly.
Totally, yeah.
And again, like we touched on it, like going from government to then the enterprise is like pretty rare. How all these conversations, the conversation with AI safety is obviously like the big thing happening right now. Pacing AI, open weight versus closed weight, all of this kind of stuff. Where does that differ within the government side to the enterprise side? And also, is it like, I assume it's geographically different as well, depending on whether you're talking to a US customer, to a European customer.
Yeah, and I think also levels of maturity, even with like on the enterprise point, even like whether you could be talking to an AI native company, right? Talking about like tokens and orchestration and all that kind of stuff, or you can be talking to like a 30-year-old financial institution, and there's such a disparity as well. And also what we've noticed,
it forms like this lattice because you've got like the government, then you've got enterprise, but then you've got like different places and then different categories.
Exactly, yeah.
It's just this,
and little levels of,
it's the kudos of your business, right? It's like
totally, man. I mean, this was definitely not the easiest company I could have started. Like, there is no doubt in my mind. But also, I think like fundamentally, like that's where value accrues, right?
Of course,
I think like our revenue growth has been so extreme in the sense of like, it took us a really long time to build for all of these reasons. Now working at this GTM, which is why we're padding out our team with like my ex-boss joining and stuff.
Yeah. And buying barber jackets.
I'm doing the important thing.
These are damn fresh. I cannot wait to wear this out.
We're doing
some serious, man.
We're doing the Lord's work.
Right,
But yeah, mate, it's a great question. We think about this all the time, and also, frankly, different tiers of government customers as well in terms of maturity on where they are in their kind of own technological prowess.
Yeah.
Completely different, even within the UK itself. And then, we serve a lot of the UK's allies as well. And to be fair, I think the last 6 months, obviously we've had a really positive relationship with UK government, and so props to them and all the great people that you've had in your show, like Keynejad, for being like bastions of he's been phenomenal. There have been some really great people actually, in the kind of like, this administration and the last one who have been extremely helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Okay, we're talking about all the good stuff. I want to know, what are the bottlenecks in Valarian? What are the things that you are? Obviously, hiring is a major thing, and you have to learn to love hiring. But what are those other bottlenecks that you feel like you guys need to get over?
It definitely comes to the challenges, and you definitely identified one as well, mate, which is that you are operating a fairly complex GTM, or differences in sophistication, and also differences in capability, both on both sides of those two streams. But I would say, like, we've now got challenges in terms of like genuine, like, raw scale, in the sense of like, we had architected this product so that we would not need to host it, right? To be clear. So we would give packages to the customer, they would run these, they spin up their own enclaves. However, when compute is so constrained, you can't be like, well, here's your package, go fuck yourself, you work it out,
see you
right?
later,
Yeah, exactly. So we have to be now super involved in that. And so, like, part of my job is I'm speaking to like the biggest compute providers in the world every single day and working out, like, where the parameters lie on like what we can have access to for our customers. One thing I would say about that is, like, I think the advantage to us is we are signing so many really top names every week that we can bring value to a compute provider. Because it's not like, trust us, bro, it's Valarian, we have cool barber jackets. It's like a question of like...
Which is true.
Yeah, which is also true. But here are the 24 genuine tier 1 customers that will be using your compute by the end of the quarter. And I think that is a powerful argument, especially if they are trying to de-risk from like OpenAI buying the next 10 years of their capacity, which is happening, right? So these are 5-year plus deals. And so I think that's where some of the advantages that we've been able to like push back and unlock those.
I want to touch on I think it was in a Bloomberg interview. Jensen was talking about how they have enough like compute capacity to, I think it was double revenue over the next X amount. I think it was like 3 or 4 years. Can you talk to us about like the compute demand and how that's like, from starting Valarian to now, how has that increased? Where do you feel like that's going to, it's obviously going to go up to the right, but how much further? Are we only just scratching the surface of kind of like compute demand, or is it,
Yeah, my answer to this is completely inverted in the last 3 months, man. Okay. Like, genuinely, like, I was like, this is completely silly, like, well, but now being in the fight of like, I'm trying to get this stuff, it's it's like, feel like going out down like some dodgy dealings, like calling people, trying to work out who's got access to this thing. Because the reality is, like, the frontier labs are not just trying to, like, they're trying to buy everything as part of their business model. Because the reality is, rather than just have the best model, if you also own all of the chips over the next 5 years, people actually don't have any option but to buy from you. So I think it makes sense from a strategic perspective. But then you've also got
that was the backlash that Jensen got with this open letter. It was like, everything was kind of feeding back into, which is naturally, is naturally going to happen because businesses are profit-making machines. That is how these things run.
Yeah, totally.
And so, but there was a bit of like stick back of like, but everything is like going into, hey, buy my chips.
No, for sure. And definitely NVIDIA's the winner. But I mean, also like on the frontier point, like for instance, if you're Anthropic right now, you'd be trying to acquire like every single thing on the market, because then all the rhetoric around going towards, well, how is anyone going to run all these open weights, right? If no one can buy it, like buy any capacity. So I would say like that is, that structural shift, and certainly in, from our customers. I mean, I might not agree with Alex Karp on a huge amount of things, but one thing like that really resonated me is that the shift that we're also seeing from customers moving from renting their intelligence to owning their intelligence is a real thing. But then that also comes with the capacity in it, because frankly, one of the reasons Frontier Labs are so good is the full stack, right? You're running a model, but they've also taken care of
all the other stuff.
Of the bandwidth constraints that you would need, right? And now we're talking about, one of the European tier 1 banks that we're doing a really major like sovereign AI infrastructure rollout with, I'm really excited about in September. Now I'm trying to work out like actually where that like the compute's going to go to run these workloads, because like when we talk about sovereignty moved from this like macro positioning, geopolitical positioning to like everyone cares about it. Like a lot of our customers in the US view sovereignty not as like, Trump's going to come and turn off my model use. It's I actually don't feel comfortable, XYZ Frontier Model Lab having all, my alpha, we were talking about the other day, right?
Well, because they're becoming almost like sovereign state size.
100%, man. Yeah, and so I'll give you an example. We rolled out to I'd say, give you, obviously, we're on names because we signed pretty heavy NDAs, but it is a tier 1 financial institution that you would have heard of. Yeah. That's incredible. That wanted to run their daily trading flows against a model, right? But they don't want to upload that into a chatbot every day, and then all of that kind of delta is squirreled away. So, but the question is then how do they run it? And then we're walking through the customer of this is the amount of processing ability you have to run this. They're running Valarian as the kind of virtualized infrastructure and then deploying open ways. But it's been really cool, man. It's we're just kind of in die-hard execution mode at the moment on delivery.
And okay, so for the example of the tier 1 bank, what do they? Is it like specialized models, some open weight, so some closed? Doing certain tasks in a certain part of the business, or is it kind of like one full stack? Operating system type thing.
Yeah. So to be clear, so when we implement the product, right, they'll say, they'll spin up a few different enclaves for different reasons. So one might be for the board or whatever. In the case of the trading flows, right, whatever part of the business is that falls into, they'll essentially deploy an enclave. They will drop the product's really cool. I mean, you can essentially select the open way, or you can even connect a harness to a closed way model if you really want to. That would slightly defeat the point. But in this example, you choose your open weight, whether it's Mistral or anyone else, and then you would essentially deploy an application, your own containerized application, whether that was your trading flows or whatever it was, and then you would start to index against each other.
Yeah.
But that would be in the parameters of this virtualized enclave, which is essentially this hardened namespace.
Yeah.
And then it wouldn't. The whole point is it doesn't ping anyone. It doesn't ping Valarian. Doesn't ping a model provider.
Okay.
And so they're able to own the full stack of how that operates. And so originally I thought that was going to be a government thing, and then it seems like that's an everything thing.
Well, yeah, because it's just becoming the conversation is becoming more important for both sides.
Totally, man.
I wanted to talk about the pacing stuff and the kind of debate that's going on around whether we are pacing AI or not. What's your general take on this whole kind of debate that's going on?
On what? On kind of speed?
Speed.
Should we? So the article, or there was an open signature thing, literally yesterday came out, pacing the frontier, and it had 1,277 signatures from scientists at all the various labs, a few of the tier 2 labs, and then some others as well. But general consensus was let's be aware of how to slow down if we need to slow down. But it seems
I do agree
what are we doing? Are we just signing this thing?
The idea of self-regulation, I think, is really important in that market, and peer checking of each other. Because I think the analogy, I can't remember what body it is in the US that regulates planes, but that was always the analogy. It's whoever checks airplanes and stuff. It's those are 4 or 5 year cycles, right? And they go through, and it's the reality is the velocity of change is so quick that it's you submit a model to a government department, and then they respond in 9 months, and you've already done 7 iterations.
Yeah.
And so, I do really support the idea of self-regulation.
That was an argument. That was an argument of who was it? I think it was Zuck. He was basically saying what the Trump administration had been proposing was a 30 to 60 day window. Sure. Once you kind of submit a model or a weight, and it's 30 days is a long time. Right?
The velocity of it, exactly. And I think also the depth of knowledge. I mean, you meet some great folks in governments, but they're not going to be the top researcher equivalent of one of these labs, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of depth of technical knowledge and prowess to actually be able to self-regulate each other, I think it would have to be some kind of peer-to-peer delivery. I don't know how that looks in real life, but I think that would be most interesting.
Yeah, I think something was. I think it was Demis who kind of proposed the fact that it would be. Within the model provider, that's where a testing environment would be, and there would be parameters, associated to that. So then there would obviously be benchmarking on different model providers, and then you can. That's how you test and everything.
Agreed. I think Demis's paper will probably be the basis of it, right? I mean, that was it. That was
and then he had this
agrees.
distilling kind of service as well that they built on top, and that's I think that's the way that we go about it. I think.
I mean, look, I'm not deep enough, obviously, on the research side at the moment, right? We're very much in the applied AI space on how we're implementing these in a safe way into businesses.
You're making money.
And yeah, exactly. And also, it's a great thing you can do, by the way. You can make revenue. You don't even need to just raise money.
What is this research?
Isn't that?
You don't have to be pre-revenue.
I don't want to seem like a raw, ardent capitalist to your viewers, by the way.
No, that's good. All the viewers are capitalists as well.
Okay, that's good.
We're over time. We have our next guest tuning in 2 minutes. So
We
I
have
think
Sabba
we
at
do have
VEED. Do you know
to.
VEED?
You have to cut it there.
They're a video, like an AI video generation
one. Yeah, very cool.
business.
It's gonna be fun. But mate,
Bootstrapped to
so
like
good
30
Mate,
to
good to see you guys
see
in
you.
person,
No,
by
yeah,
the way.
appreciate
Can't
it.
believe it's taking this long.
I can't wait to wear this as well.
Yeah.
I'm a bit warm.
Yeah. That's what we did with mine. Otherwise, we'll put them on next time.
In the sauna.
Just try it on.
Do a quick
flex. We've got 2 minutes.
You can get a quick photo.
Oh man, it's gonna be warm.
Oh my god, it's boiling.
Your one's on the arm.
Get a quick photo.
It does look clean though. It looks really good on you guys.
Wait, no, let's get. Do we get there, or where do we get?
Dude, that looks good. That looks genuinely dope, by the way. I think I prefer it on the arm.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think it looks even better on the arm because it looks like an air fighter.
On the arm, it's sick.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll do it both ways.
We've got Sabba coming in
Like 2 minutes.
2 minutes. We've got to be
God,
close.
it's a hot room.
Sabba's here now.
Alright guys, I'll let you go. Thanks so much.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, bro. See you in a bit. Cheers, dude.
Right,
Right,
Sabba. Let's
go. I'm keeping this on.
You're going to try and wear that for the rest of the show then, yeah?
I might melt, but in fact, I don't feel that hot right now.
Let's do this. Let's bring Sabba into the studio.
Let's bring Sabba in right now.
But I feel.
That's Max Buchan, by the way, everybody. Valarian, absolute ledge, giving us these amazing bomber jackets. But now we have Sabba, the CEO and co-founder of VEED, recently wrote a piece about the B2B SaaS book is dead. We're going to be bringing him into the studio
I think it's dead.
shortly.
It's dead. Indeed. Let's. That was a very fascinating conversation. I mean, as
Look
usual.
at my jacket, bro.
It looks good. It looks
Look
good.
at my jacket.
It looks good.
We can talk about the conversation, but we have to just briefly talk about this jacket.
You can be wearing it 24/7.
Mate, the inseam, like...
Yeah, it's a barber jacket. It's
Just
very
look at this
nice.
thing.
Yeah, it's very nice of him.
the
We'll be Valarianing. If you want to go and work at an incredible company, go to Valarian.
I feel like I should be flying a plane right now. Do you have any sunglasses?
Yeah. Okay, before we have our next guest on, accelerating the global money movement, BVNK provides enterprise-grade stablecoin infrastructure for global businesses, enabling fast, compliant payments and digital asset solutions worldwide, bvnk.com. Let's have Sabba.
Let's bring
on
Sabba into the studio. He is in the waiting room. There Sabba.
he is.
Can
How
you
are
hear
you
us,
doing,
sir?
guys?
I'm
Lovely
very good.
jacket you got there.
Okay, let's explain the jacket very quickly. A friend of ours, Max at Valarian, just came in and gave us these Valarian branded barber jackets. And
It's boiling in our studio. As you know, we're European fashion. We have very limited AC, and he's still wearing the barber jacket.
out of solidarity for our friend and his merch.
Indeed. Anyway, Sabba, how are you? Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Would love to have a heat check on VEED, how everything's going quickly. We've got a bunch of questions. Want to ask about your tweet that you posted yesterday, but want to have the update on VEED first, please.
Yeah, well, good to be on again, and congratulations on all the recent success and news, guys. It's great to see, and yeah, rooting for you. Love the new studio, love the jacket, love the energy. So and next time I'll stop by the studio, but I might wait until October because it sounds quite hot there.
It's boiling, mate. It's so hot.
Lots of exciting stuff happening at VEED, although I'm not going to say anything because there's something big coming in 2 weeks, and I just don't want to spoil it. So you're just going to have to wait a couple of weeks.
Okay, we can do this again with that announcement.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the SaaS playbook is dead. So, but
Yes.
really interesting. Just before we had you on, well, before Max earlier today, we had this guy called Robbie, who had been working at Dropbox, Notion, early employee, a master of that old school SaaS playbook. He's just joined the Polish-based company Victor as their new CRO. And I mentioned that you were coming on as well. I mentioned the post, but would love to hear like why is the playbook dead or dying? What was your thoughts here? What was your thinking here?
Look, there's so much interesting things to unpack here, but I think like if I had to break it down, there's like three main things. The first is demand capture is getting much, much higher. So traditionally, most companies would grow via SEO and PPC, but those channels are like changing so significantly. And the products that we all love and want to use right now, you don't really find them through search. You find them through, people having great demos, people recommending them.
Yeah.
And so I think fundamentally demand capture is changing. And the other thing is, right now, being the first link on Google is the equivalent to 2 years ago being fourth. Yeah. Being third on Google now is the equivalent of being on the second page. So to be honest, like if you're not number one for your main keywords on Google or YouTube, you're just not trying hard enough. It's as simple as that. And I just don't think enough people have got on board with that. And I think people have just kind of like lost it a bit. They just need to go harder, right? And they need to also go where the, demand creation is happening. So I think if you want to be growing right now, you need to be creating demand. There's two key ways to create demand. The first is a great product experience that people love and talk about. Yeah, I think that's the first thing. That's a non-negotiable. The second thing is you need to be working with influencers, community, and get people talking about your brand, also sending that traffic to your site. So I think that's the first thing that's really important. Demand capture is harder.
So there's a shift from kind of traditional software applications to agents. Where do agents fit in all of that? For on the demand side specifically, and then we can kind of get into the product side and everything else.
Look, it's a really interesting question. I don't have all the answers. A designer on my team, this is a designer. This is a guy who would traditionally use Figma and like an Adobe After Effects package. Yeah. I asked him how he's currently working. He is effectively using a Claude MCP that talks to an infrastructure company that serves AI models. There is no software layer in what he is doing as a designer in 2026. Isn't that just mad? There's no application. There is just no application.
Yeah, and there's no need for one as well. So
it's crazy.
Sorry, go on. No, I cut you off.
No, I think it's an interesting point. Like agents could be the new workflow, but like things are changing so rapidly. Like AI coding is really only two years ago wasn't really a thing. Now it's like every single engineer, at least one subscription, of Claude Code per engineer. It's like the market is rapidly changing. And I think to like this point and the next point, it's just like, are founders, CEOs, and companies keeping up? Because the market is changing that quickly. And I think the reality is most people who've got like a pre-AI company can't stand up and confidently say that they have a great AI product in 2026. I think that's the next fundamental problem, right?
Yeah. I want to go back to something you mentioned right at the start, which is I think if you're a brand today, you just have to be engaging with these individuals. Doesn't matter if it's B2C. I mean, B2C even more so, but even B2B influencers. Everything from my perspective seems now, we asked like any company, AI company, whatever stage, pre-seed, all the way up to like an OpenAI or an Anthropic, the marketing playbook seems to be like attention. And I'm not saying that in a way where like, okay, marketing has always been attention, but it's not, let's run an ABM campaign or let's get an ad on LinkedIn or let's put an ad on but it's like, it's basically going viral on X, to be quite honest. I think that everything is kind of converged to X for marketing in general, or maybe some out of office, stuff as well. But the real value from that is that you take a photo of it and then you put it on X kind of thing, right? We'd be curious to hear your take on how X is fitting into this new world.
Yeah, I mean, so like, first of all, we're clearly in a bubble. If we think this is like how you do marketing. So like, we've had posts on X that have gone like phenomenally viral, 2, 3, 4 million views, and there is like no revenue attributed to it. We've also had posts that have got like 100 views or likes on LinkedIn that has attributed revenue. So like, it's really hard to unpack it. One thing that I would say is like my CEO socials contributes, I think like, Abby, how much? 16K a month in revenue, in like monthly revenue.
How do you know that?
No, wait, from just like LinkedIn, X, like...
Yeah, just just shit posting, basically. What I'm doing now.
No way.
How do you know that? How do you attribute your impressions to revenue?
So URL
So we have like
tracker or something?
Yeah, we have like smart people that do things with data. It's like a mixed marketing model. It looks at the impressions that I get, the traffic, the dates, and they kind of try and correlate it and stuff like that.
Okay, fine.
These funnels are dark, like they are dark. So, but it's clearly there.
Yeah, that's insane. This is reminding me of so we had James Hawkins at Post Hug on just on Tuesday, I think maybe.
Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah.
Does some really great, also some like shit posting type stuff on LinkedIn and also X. And he said this really interesting thing that I when I went home, actually I was chatting to my housemate about it. That like he really likes marketing channels that where you can't really track whether one is like accruing direct value from it, because he feels like if it's a super trackable channel, then it's saturated. So like he has these, like his posts go super viral, same on X, same as like very similar to you actually, like a lot on LinkedIn, a lot on X. I'm not sure how much of a percentage you could put on it, but he was saying like, I think like, a fair amount of our sort of,
I mean, he doesn't rely on it, but he says like, if I can walk down the street in SF and get recognized for my posting, it's probably accruing some value in my company.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, we've got a like our YouTube channel has like 160,000 subscribers. In the last 30 days, it's done 500,000 views, right? And there's no direct attribution. But if you're watching a tutorial video by VEED, you're probably going to go to VEED and use the product. So you can't track it, but it's clearly there,
Yeah. One of the third points in your breakdown, demand capture has become harder in general. We're kind of already talking about it a little bit, but could you maybe just walk us through like how are people capturing demand today? Is it just this sort of socials first? And I mentioned X earlier, but we have to include YouTube. Socially native marketing stunts seems to be the thing. But yeah, why is it harder to capture demand? What is the playbook for that?
Yeah, sure. So, we spoke about why it's harder to capture demand. Google's pushing the search results down. Their revenue's going up. Congratulations, Google. They're probably squeezing some of the last of the juice out of the best monopoly in the world.
Yeah.
The way you create demand, I think, is two ways. As I said, one is like have a great product experience. So the first time you use the product, you're like, wow, that's incredible. Let me come back and let me talk about it. The second way you create demand is by getting people to talk about your product on your behalf to the audiences that already exist, right? They're the two flywheels that I believe are the most important for capturing creating new demand. The way it shows up in your data is actually under brand traffic. It's very hard to attribute. There's no link in the description. It's just like, hey, here's how to do X with VEED. People do it. You see it in the data. There are other ways as well, like YouTube pre-roll. There's billboard ads. There's like TV ads as well for creating demand. But I think the ones that startups should be really focusing on is the great first product experience, and then like influencers talking about the work that you do.
Yeah,
simple as that.
I wanted to ask about the first point. Building one product is better than building five. You're seeing like a lot of these, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of founders, kind of getting shiny object syndrome. They have maybe a business that is doing pretty well, but they go and build, an AI, something, and they try a bunch of things, and then kind of everything kind of falls down, or nothing's really doing that great. Where do you see as a founder who is building in AI, focus is obviously like the main thing that you need to crack and make sure that you are just building something that is good. What's your kind of point from the go and build one thing instead of going to build five? I think a lot of people are kind of falling down that trap. What do you have to say to them?
Well, I think there's a bunch of things here. So, when I started VEED, I had a bit of a sunk loss fallacy because I invested all my own money into starting it, and it wasn't really working. And I was kind of backed into a wall, and I was like, I have to make this thing work. And that dedication and that focus is what made it successful.
Yeah.
Fast forward to today, it's actually a very similar situation. Like, what is the one thing that you as a company want to deliver in the next 3 to 6 months? And have you aligned your whole company around that one thing? And are you going to drive it home like crazy? It's as simple as that. And I think so many people for so long have had very diverse approaches to their portfolio of products, or you have a product that's working well and you go horizontally, expanding it. But right now, today, it's really hard to keep all those products fresh and to keep them up to date. For example, if you look at presentations, Canva's got presentations, but Gamma's killing it because Gamma is so focused on presentations. It's as simple as that. So like at some point, it's hard to fight every single battle when there is so much change happening in the world right now. And I think the opportunity is there for founders who pick one thing and they do it better than someone else. And if it's an enterprise workflow and it's like something that people use every day that's not been disrupted yet, the opportunity is so high.
Yeah.
I also wanted to touch on creating demand instead of fighting for existing demand. In the context of VEED, talk to us about how you think about when you're thinking about a new product push, you're thinking about where is the next focus point for you guys, and creating that demand instead of saying, hey, or just kind of defaulting to the fact that this thing might already have existing demand, you go and build for that market. Talk to us about your kind of like philosophy of creating demand instead of, chasing the existing demand.
Yeah, so this backs into like product strategy as well. And I think that's where it gets really interesting. So when we speak to our customers, not one customer says, oh my God, Sabba, please build this AI video thing that does this, this, and this. Because they just don't know it exists or it could be done. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And so I think, first of all, like following exactly what your users want is not really how you are going to kind of build the next version of your product. And I think, especially when markets are changing this quickly, it's a really bad thing to do. I think in the old SaaS world, you could look at, hey, MailChimp have this feature that I love. Can you add it to Braze? And you're like, yeah, sure, not a problem.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first thing. It's very, very misleading to speak to your users when things are changing like they are today. And there's loads of great quotes by people like James Dyson about how focus groups are just not really a good way to inform innovation. And today is the day when innovation is happening. So I think
has that changed? Has that changed since? Because as you mentioned, right, the kind of old SaaS playbook was like go and do things that don't scale, talk to your early customers, figure out what they want, and go and build.
Yeah, it has changed. Yeah, 100% has changed. And it's because, like, if I look at my VEED user base, for example, like 80% of it represents, for example, what we did for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Only 20% represents the new thing that we're doing. You want to speak to the new thing that you're doing, not the old thing. You want to be solving the challenges of your business in 2026, not in 2025, because they're different businesses and it's a different world. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is, when it comes to demand capture, I don't know why I know this, but like 450,000 people search for video editor globally every single month, and about 150,000 of them in the US, right? Of course, why I know this. Right. So I'm number one for that keyword, right? And that's amazing. But you know what I can't do? I can't get more people searching for video editor.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Yeah.
Right. So how do I get more people to come to the video editing product? I need to generate demand. How do I generate demand? I get influencers, I brief them about why you should use VEED to edit your videos, generate your videos, use our talking head product. I get them to talk about it. And when they talk about it and those videos go viral, people come to VEED, they use the product. That is generating demand.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating. I know we are slightly over, cautious of your time as well.
We have 4 minutes, do we?
Sorry, I thought this, no, we are 2:40.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. We're already a minute over.
I was enjoying that. That was really fun.
Sabba, can we have you on in 2 weeks again? It sounds like you have something fun to announce, and we'd love to.
Honestly, if it's that hot in the studio in 2 weeks, I'm not coming because
you can do remote, but it is boiling in here. It's like a sauna.
No. All right, yeah, I'll come in. I'm looking forward to it, guys. And again, congratulations on all the success. It's great following you guys.
You're a legend. So good to catch up, man. Appreciate your time.
Good stuff.
Nice one.
Bye.
Ciao. Legend.
What a legend. Very fascinating conversation. I was really enjoying that. Anyway, look, we got 2 weeks and we will have him back on again.
Yeah.
Airwallex, leave outdated business banking behind with Airwallex, the all-in-one financial platform built for the pace of modern business. Multi-currency accounts, corporate cards, expense management, online payments, all in one platform. Go to airwallex.com.
Oh, we're here. I need to tell you about our friends at BVNK as well. BVNK accelerating the global money movement. BVNK provides enterprise-grade stablecoin infrastructure for global businesses, enabling fast, compliant payments and digital asset solutions worldwide. Go to bvnk.com to check them out.
We have one final guest, Aidan, Corbett, co-founder and CEO of Wayflyer. It's going to be interesting. I'm really excited for this conversation.
I'm pumped. I've spoken to Aidan before. I spoke to him 4 years ago when I cold emailed him.
Let's go.
As a BDR.
Should we go through some? Should we go through some bangers of the day?
Yeah. We haven't.
There was a funny quote post of a Polymarket tweet if we just pull this up, just in, Apple projected to be the world's largest company at the end of August. There's a 56% chance, according to Polymarket, the world's best prediction market. Vittorio reposted that and said, "Beat Apple, Age of AI, do nothing, win."
There were loads of memes around them, just like not getting involved.
It's so great. I thought that was banging. I was like, that's great.
I was like 1.5 mil he did on that. 1.5 mil. There was something that I wanted to bring up. This wasn't like a banger, like in the sense of like this is a really funny tweet, but it was just a really good tweet from Sam Lessin. It opens up saying, "Never compete. I was on with someone from our team at Slow talking about competition recently. How do you compete in venture capital, etc. Win deals?" And he says, "My honest philosophy." He's kind of talking about early stage venture capital. You shouldn't really be competing when you don't have to be. If you're competing, that the deal is just becoming mispriced, it's getting overdone. Because I hate competition professionally, I love it in sport, but not business. And I think competition is especially stupid in early stage venture capital, where you are competing over/crawling over each other for out of the money call options on things that almost certainly will not work. Early stage VC competition on deals almost by definition leads to overpricing and overpaying. It also demonstrates a fundamental lack of creativity. It's egotistically, if you want your money to matter / to make a difference, you want to be funding otherwise unfunded opportunities where you see something others don't, where money is most expensive, commands the high return, and, to put a nice spin on it, where the money matters the most.
Follow the money.
And it goes on to say a few things about, it's
keep going.
Sort of, well, the end, towards the end, he gives an opinion that you are a bad capitalist, limiting your returns, an uncreative person, a mere market participant, yuck. And also misusing the incredible mandate and license you have to find things and make them happen in the world. You have to be careful about seeing mirages, because most things are not funded because they are actually bad. You can't like things just because they are unliked, but your job is to have the discipline in the wilderness, in the wander, and as the game evolves, both as a capitalist and an egotistically as someone who realizes how awful it is for your tombstone to say market participant.
That was beautifully written from Sam Lessin.
Honestly, like an incredible linguistic talent. Sam Lessin over there at Slow.
Okay, let's bring our final guest of the show on.
We've got Aidan coming to the studio from
Should be joining
Wayflyer.
Now. There he is.
Amazing. Aidan, how are you? Welcome to the European Technology Network. It's good
Hi
to
guys,
have you
great
on.
to be here.
No,
yeah, great
pleasure.
to be here.
Aidan, I'm going to start this conversation off with telling you something that you might actually not know, but I've actually messaged you before. This was like 4 years ago when I was at a company called Pigment. I sent you a cold email. I sent you a cold email trying to sell Pigment, and you replied and put me in touch with your finance team. I think it was the CFO who had just recently joined at the time. I just remembered that the other day, and I thought it was really funny. So it's great to see you face to face. It's great to meet you properly.
It must have been a great cold email, because I don't respond. I get a lot of cold email. I don't respond too much, but you must have nailed the pitch.
I used to pride myself on my cold outbound. But
Pigment taught him well.
Yeah, we can forget about that. Let's hear from you. You've got some amazing news to share with us. Let's just get straight into it. You guys had a great announcement today. We'd love to get it from the horse's mouth.
Sure. So we announced a new financing agreement with Fortress, where they're going to provide us with $1.5 billion in a forward flow agreement. And that means we'll be using this facility to deploy $1.5 billion to small businesses in the UK, US, Australia, and Germany.
Yeah. Nice. Congratulations, mate. Do you want to just walk us through like the past 24 hours, like announcing this news, getting it out there? It sounds like this has been in the works for a while. Obviously, we were chatting with the team offline. Sounds like a lot of work's gone into this. What does this mean for Wayflyer? What does this mean for the next 6 months for you guys?
So typically as a lender, when you're providing capital to companies, you'll have to commit some of your own capital. And at the very beginning, you have to commit a lot of your own capital. The great thing about having a forward flow agreement like this is that we don't actually have to commit as much capital at all. So it allows us to scale while also maintaining the strength of our balance sheet. So as a larger lender, when you start doing agreements like this, it allows you to build a bit of a competitive moat, because you're able to scale without having to continually raise equity over time. So it's a huge win for us and a big validation of our model.
Nice, congrats, man. When we were chatting to the team offline, like some of the topics that were coming up for us, like why institutional investors are committing like billions to small businesses despite macro uncertainty, like we were covering today, like not only just the markets across like Europe and the US, but even like South Korea with like the whole like AI crunch, memory stocks going down. Yeah, would love to get your take.
That's a world away from the companies that we fund. So most of the companies we fund, be they restaurants, e-commerce businesses, people selling consumer brands through Tesco or through Walmart, semiconductors in South Korea don't really affect them on a day-to-day basis. And what's really happened since 2012 that we've seen in most of our markets is that banks have pulled back from funding these businesses. You may have, I think in the UK, probably 20% more small businesses now than you did 12 years ago, but funding to those businesses has actually dropped. So you have a huge gap in the market right now for small businesses that I'm sure are utilizing AI, but aren't immediately affected by some of the news that we all get obsessed about.
Yeah. And what do you think is driving that rise in small businesses? Is this perhaps the barriers to entry to create have come down because of AI?
Absolutely.
More people are. Is this something you guys are seeing internally? Then this is like what you're seeing in the market out there, like an increase in SMBs across UK, Europe.
Absolutely. The barriers to entry to setting up a company, even from how you form companies with services like Stripe Atlas, it's become easier and easier over the last 5 to 6 years. But unfortunately, we don't have the financial industry in place to fund these businesses. We've seen banks pull back from funding small businesses pretty consistently over the last 10 to 12 years. And as a result, it's given opportunities for companies like Wayflyer to step in.
Yeah. When we were doing our research before you jumped on, about a month ago, you laid out like 6 mistakes on the way to $100 million in revenue. Would love to hear from you. What are these mistakes as Wayflyer scales to the point it's at today? Like, what are the lessons that you've learned through this scaling period?
I'll probably pick maybe two or three, but the one that I always talk about, I think I might have pinched it from Ben Horowitz, is running towards the fire. I think when you're the CEO, and especially if you're doing it correctly, you have to deal with so many difficult things coming at you, and the temptation to put a hard decision off, put off a confrontation is so attractive, and that's really what hurts you the most. And the ability to kind of run towards the fire rather than running away from a fire, that might be the biggest determinant, particularly as you scale. I think at the beginning, it's somewhat simplistic. It's challenging at the beginning, but you know that your job is to stay alive. As the company gets bigger, there's so much more complexity. There's so many more decisions. It's a lot easier to put things off as you get bigger because you can almost get away with it. Yeah. And if you can avoid that, that's probably the biggest tip of all when you're scaling, is to continually run towards the fire.
Yeah. It reminds me of a conversation we had with the guys at Intercom, Des Traynor specifically saying, and it's kind of become like a line that we use on the show sometimes, but like he had a line that like you either correct your company or the market corrects it for you, and it's kind of related to that, sprinting into the fire. It was a very like direct quote from Des that stuck with us.
He's a lot more eloquent than I am. That's great, but he's one of the OG founders in Ireland. I think those guys really blazed the trail for all founders in Ireland, really. So when I was starting off my entrepreneurial journey, Stripe felt like a company that was based in the US because the Collisons were in the Valley, but Intercom were kind of the company we looked up to because most of the founders are still based here. And Des did an amazing job building up the startup community in Dublin as well.
Yeah. Walk us through how are things in Dublin from the startup perspective? We've spoken with a few of the accelerators there. We've had a number of founders on there, both all the way from like Intercom all the way to like really young individuals that are raising pre-seed rounds, really young ages. Some of these people like 17, 18 years old. It seems to me like probably a year and a half ago or a year ago we spoke to that really young guy now. I forget his name.
He raised from the Australian VC.
Yeah, and he was like redoing like the ERP market for SMBs as well. Really cool, like old school industry that this young guy is taking on ahead. But yeah, we're getting everything from like really young individuals in Ireland taking on this like entrepreneurial mindset really early, all the way to like the Des Traynors and the Paul Adams of the world, the Ewans of the world over at Intercom. What's it like over there? Like, how are things progressing?
I would say that we have all the conditions for being an amazing startup hub, and we're underperforming our potential. If you looked at the conditions that you wanted to have a really successful startup city in Europe, Ireland would have a lot of them. So operates a very a very business-friendly environment. You have a temperate climate. You're very close to the US and to Europe. You have probably the highest density of sales talent in Europe, if not the US as well, because almost all US companies base their small business sales teams out of Dublin. And you also have huge engineering teams from Stripe, from AWS, and from lots of other large companies from the US who base engineering teams here, not just sales teams. So we have all the conditions for having an amazing startup ecosystem, but for whatever reason, I think we're still underperforming. So it should be on like a Stockholm or a Helsinki, or it should be at that level because we have all the ingredients. But I still think the risk appetite among young people in taking the leap is not where it should be.
Yeah, I hear that.
Is that because I mean, there's an incredible amount of kind of enterprise companies that are headquartered in Dublin. It creates this almost like, I guess, ease to kind of go into those worlds like maybe earlier than a founder might do. They might go and found a company and then join one of those companies potentially. Do you feel like that's a potential reason, or do you think it is? And that maybe like reduces your risk appetite because it's like it's so easy to go and join one of those companies. What do you think that has a play in this situation?
I think a lot of it is cultural. So that there's very much the well-worn path of join an accountancy firm, join a law firm, join a consultancy, or join a tech company in a sales role. And I think especially after the crash, that kind of became even more sought after because we were affected a lot by the crash and unemployment spiked to 15%. I actually think today starting a company is a lot less risky than it was. I think capital is definitely more available. I think COVID has actually been amazing for founders in non-major cities because VC suddenly decided that they could fund companies in locations that they hadn't been before. So we did all our fundraising remotely between 2020 and 2022.
Yeah.
And that was, raising the guts of like 250 million. We did that all remotely. So COVID's actually been amazing to help founders who are not based in major cities. But I really think in an Irish perspective, we just need to be more comfortable with having a high risk appetite.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly the same here in the UK. We can get a little bit back to the news. I know we've kind of gone off on a small tangent here, but the agreement, like, what is this kind of saying around like the asset-backed fintech lending and the maturation of this sector? I think traditionally a very, very hot area in London in general, like that fintech area. But yeah, what is it like? Is AI sort of fueling the industry more? Is it accelerating it? How are those two worlds colliding?
AI is accelerating it, but it's accelerating it in a very boring way, which means that underwriting is getting much, much faster. So our ability to turn around large six-figure working capital facilities in the space of minutes rather than days is really where you're seeing AI do the work, but it's doing the work all on the back end. So you don't see a lot of it, but the jobs that we do in terms of KYC, in terms of processing data at underwriting level and helping the AI, with AI making much faster and often more accurate decisions than other companies would do on a manual basis. You're seeing the impact of AI, but you're not seeing it overtly. You're just seeing it in the speed at which companies like us can actually provide you with funding and then launch new products. So from a lending perspective, how you improve a product from the customer's perspective is, can you give me more money? Can you do it faster? And can you do it for a longer duration? All of those can be affected by AI, but they'll do it not overtly. All those three things just have to keep getting better. And AI helps you do it much, much faster.
Yeah. So it sounds like speed and I guess execution as well thrown in there.
Absolutely. I mean, the user experience today for a small business looking for funding is light years from where it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. And what like, for me, who maybe doesn't come from the specific space, like what does that process look like? Like how has it looked historically, like for an SMB, like where do they go, right? You mentioned VC side of stuff, but that's not the route that they should take or would ever take. What has that process looked like historically and like where is it at today?
Typically it would have been a bank. So in the UK context, you would have gone to your high street bank. What happened, particularly after 2008, is that local bank managers actually lost a lot of power and most of the lending decisions were centralized. And lending decisions happened on a pretty manual way. And they also didn't differentiate particularly by business model. So if we're underwriting an e-commerce business today, we underwrite it very different to, let's say, a restaurant. And we look at different data sources, we look at different metrics, and that allows us to be a much more accurate underwriter than if you have a very basic underwriting that's based on your financial statements from the company's house, which are probably out of date, and you're looking at bank transactions, but you're not looking at, for example, your return on ad spend. You're not looking at the cohort performance. You're not looking at increases in LTV. So we take into account all that operating data and also include the classic checks that a bank would do. And that just allows you to get a much more accurate read on how the company is performing. And it also helps prioritize companies that are very promising but don't necessarily have a lot of assets. Because in the past, most banks fixated on asset-backed lending and those assets having to be fixed assets. When we say asset-backed lending, it's often based on receivables or future receivables. So these are still asset-light businesses.
Yeah. That makes complete sense. I know we're coming up towards the end. We have about a minute 30 left. What are these next 6 months ahead, the roadmap for you guys look like now? What's the focus? Is there a North Star with this funding? Is there a North Star that the whole team's aligned on? What are you guys getting excited about?
Yeah, rampant scaling is really what we're doing with this facility. As I mentioned before, this facility allows us to scale without committing a ton of our own capital. So it's profitable and works really well from a liquidity perspective. And our focus right now is branching out into lots of new verticals. So we started off in 2020 focusing on e-commerce and consumer brands. Mm-hmm. We're looking at funding lots more verticals right now. And as a result, we've increased our TAM pretty dramatically in the last 6 months across the US, UK, Australia, and Germany.
Yeah, huge. Amazing. Look, thanks so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. And it's funny, it's cool to put a face to the name.
After your initial BDR email. Thanks,
so
guys.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Cheers,
it.
man. Have a good one. Congrats.
Take care.
See you soon. That is the show, ladies and gentlemen. 11 Labs AI that communicates at a human level across every channel and modality, deploy conversational agents across every customer interaction, and create on-brand content at scale. Go to 11labs.io. That is the show.
Cut me off.
We'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.